It is day 12 of the Cyto.gg Path2Pro Combine, where we're covering some of the brightest stars in the North American League of Legends ecosystem and their journey to that pro level of play. And they're fighting for unique opportunities to boot camp in person in Los Angeles and South Korea as well. The first 5 people have already been picked for that LA boot camp. In this this third week of the Combine, we're going to be seeing who the next 5 people are going to be selected. Once everything is said and done, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ferris, I'm here to show the world. I'm joined by Alk Battery on the broadcast. And Alk, we've got some new stipulations to cover in this coming 3 block here today.
Yeah, I don't know how we'd be able to kind of like showcase the audience. Maybe you could do it later in the show. But today, we only have a set number of champions. Everybody's going to be bound within 5 champions per role. So if we start to see throughout the rest of this week, if you're going to be watching the show, you're going to be seeing a lot of the same champions. The 2 different things that are coming in that I think are more important or more easily accessible to our audience. One, there's only going to be 1 ban for each team. You can either put it in the first phase of draft or in the second phase of draft. And there's only 1 champion that either team can pick, either team can pick each game that is outside of our list. I'm going to try and find a way if maybe we can get Blue Water or someone outside to be able to tweet out this, just because I think it is a little bit difficult to kind of showcase it or talk about it here in the show. But kind of the unique pick that we're going to already see here is going to be the Corki for Aljun on first pick, a champion that was buffed. And talking to a lot of mid laners, a lot of people have their eyes on on this champion saying, hey, these buffs are enough. I think with all the other champions kind of moving out of the meta, we have like Azir still playable here. Maybe this is a spot where Corki's going to be looking really good, and his itemization just happens to be really strong. So he's going to be the unique champion for blue side. I wonder what we're going to be getting here from our Team Hoarder team, as already I think the answers that they have great utility. The Skarner alongside the Orianna is awesome. I think they might be able to kind of deal with something of a tank top laner here, especially as a Cassante with Quacker. He's been really putting in a lot of work on this champion.
And so that unique pick for the side of Team Hoarder is going to be the Skarner, as I don't see Skarner listed there in the available pool. It's Vi, Sejuani, Nocturne, Xin and Ivern. So Skarner, very powerful jungler, has been for the last couple patches. That's going to be the choice here for the side of Team Hoarder. And they're actually going through with 2 bans. Okay, so I thought it was just 1, but it's actually going to be 2. I thought they got to choose whether it was going to be
yeah, they said
3.
Maybe they were going to try and change.
Right, they did say they were going to change that.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe they're just troll bans. I mean, the Renata one, Renata is not a champ. Renata is a champion that is on this list, and Pantheon being taken away. Maybe they were just trying to giving. I mean, they have the Yorick, right? The Yorick in the first ban. So
I was kind of like, who's playing Yorick here, guys? This is kind of crazy.
So red side opting to use Ziggs in their first half, and blue side opting for the Renata on the second half. We're taking Gnar away, obviously a great matchup into Cassante early on, trying to be a lane bully. My eyes going to be focusing on those grubs, especially with how we've been seeing teams. I think as the Combine has gone on, we've got a little bit better around playing around grubs and kind of manipulating the map around having all these Void Mites spawn. But I do really want to see these guys kind of focus in and try to see how much more they can juice out of this objective, just because, I mean, when we talk about it, we've been seeing teams just, as soon as they get grubs, you can take Herald, you can even just trade the second or third dragon, and boom, you're just taking so many turrets and so hard to match on the map. Sejuani here coming out for the blue side. Support pick, though, going to be pretty interesting. You have Rel, Rakan, Leona, and Braum. Braum here is already looking pretty good, but if you want to try to catch out someone like an Orianna and Ashe, I think Leona has really high value here.
Absolutely. And Kim Down played mostly the Rakan here in this Combine so far. 5 games of Rakan, 2 games over on the Leona. Actually going to opt in for the Braum in this one. So more of the disengaged style here. They have a good amount of poke. They have the Corki Missile Barrage and the Mystic Shots from the Ezreal. Scary J is going to be implementing those. The Rakan going to be taken by Dum Dum on the other side. So they're going to try and thwart the engage that could come through here. You have Skarner, Ixtal's Impact, Gnar in the Mega Form, Shockwave as well. The quickness can be some really insane follow-up CC as well for Team Hoarder's side. So I think I'm definitely seeing where the value is here for Kim Down in this Braum pick. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing some very heavy team fight oriented teams, and you're talking about neutral objectives, you're talking about grubs specifically. That is definitely going to be something in this game where we're going to see things get a little bit crazy, things get chaotic and execution based for both these teams. More poke side, again, like I mentioned, for Team Quacker, and then it's all about can they find those spells to land for Team Hoarder when we talk about the interactions around those neutral objectives.
Yeah, the Ezreal and Corki is going to provide really great range, and I love the front line that they've built out for themselves with this Cassante, Sejuani, and Braum. I'm just kind of worried that I don't think there's going to be a lot of champions that are going to be able to kill someone like this Skarner in time. Eventually, you will be able to deal damage. The true damage, especially from someone like Corki, is going to be very difficult. But with how hectic fights can be, Corki having either to kind of play at range or sacrifice some of his mobility to be able to use his Gatling gun to be able to shred, I am thinking it is just easier to try to find team fights, and I think it is more clear for what Red Side are going to be able to do. And when you have someone like Anar to be able to push top lane, you're going to be looking, okay, well, hey, whenever Ashe wants to be able to trade with Ezreal, she's also going to be pushing in the wave with her W. You're going to have Gnar, who should be able to bully Cassante early on. So it comes down to the junglers on how creative they can be on, you know, some of their pathing. Are they going to be dropping camps to try to influence their lanes early? And then our supports, especially for Dum Dum and Kim Down, how are they going to be activated on the map? You can very easily go for ganks, and I mean, it's a lot easier for someone like Rakan to try to find something, but Braum jumping in can definitely throw in a spanner.
Absolutely. Braum can be that X factor and can be the thorn in the side for a bunch of plays that happen, especially with an engaged team like Team Hoarder's side. So that could be the turning of the tide in these fights. We have the teams here laid out in front of us again. Team Quacker, Team Hoarder. We're going to see how this unfolds here in the first game of the 3-block here. We'll cut to a short break while these teams draft through in the spectator delay and inside of the in-client drafts. And then when we come back, we'll be inside for game number 1 between these two teams. Don't go anywhere.
to redemption on the other side. We're standing and we're burning bright. Alright, 'cause we are timeless. Our future knows not your pain. Our past knows only victory. So we still remain. And we still remain. Yeah! Do we fight to hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love? Risk the fall, or we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call?
And we're back into game for game number 1 here in our opening 3 block of day 12 of the Cyber.GG Path to Pro Combine. And we are going to see which of these teams are going to be able to strike first in this one. We got a very limited pool for all these people. We got Corky, we got Skarner, that are the unique picks. All you're going to be piloting that, and Aojun as well. Let's see what value those unique picks can bring to them, as we're going to see early on. Going to get some contested vision around this topside river.
Yeah, I wonder if Skarner just becomes like the pocket champion for every single game because he's been so popular. I'm gonna hold that as this level 1's getting kind
Down
of
is
wild.
getting really
Braum wins it.
aggressive. Grand Entrance is going to knock up the Braum, but it's actually Dum-Dum that's going to be in trouble here. Aojun going to flash the wall and go for this one. This is going to be first blood to the Corky. This is huge here for Team Quacker. Samikin now in a little bit of trouble. Caught between 4 people. Has to flash over the wall here. No follow-up for the rest of the Team Quacker side. But hey, they called their bluff. They stood their ground. And that's first blood here for Team Quacker.
And Ollie's just hiding. He's like, I'm part of the wolves, guys. I'm just a wolf. Oh, he's a wolf
He's
camp. He's
canceling
actually
the
gonna
recall?
stay. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna see him, right? Like they have to just assumed that Garner had already taken the recall. Either way, looking at the state of the game right now, I think bot lane is incredibly dangerous right now. Aljun even having the electrocute over his opponent, and there's no flashes in mid, means that Bio can swing by the mid lane, but Ashe and Rakan no longer having their summoner spells. Anytime mid lane has push or enemy jungle, if they can spot him, they know he's starting on this top side. All you have to do is cut him out from the jungle, and it is so difficult, I think, for Levitate and Dum-Dum to play. Oh, he's going to try and steal away from Bio.
Small's impact into the wall here. He's going to have the very big HP advantage in this 1v1. Bio saying, why is there a Scorpion in my jungle? I thought we cleared them all out. And that's going to be the smite down here for Ollie, forcing Bio off of that camp here. So maybe stopping all that extra pressure that the side of Team Quacker had there in those lanes. The Sejuani going to be disrupted. And so they know where she is, and they know where she's going to be next, pathing up towards those red side camps. So that's going to be at least something back a little bit here for Team Hoarder.
It'll be information, which is obviously very good in a competitive sense, but for Ollie, this is great for the jungle. There's going to be 3 quadrants that he's going to have to himself. If he really wants, he can also just early contest on these scuttles very early and make sure that they don't have this. Scary Jerry and Kim Down are doing a great job, however, of asserting bot lane priority with this Ezreal. Getting some good damage. Levitate and Dum-Dum are in such a hard spot now that they no longer have their flashes, and it's like this is literally all they need to be able to do. This is part of why the Braum is so strong. You have additional dueling prowess with this 2v2, and Braum is very good at a level 1. So I like that they win for that. They're able to find an early kill, and for the time being, Bio potentially even skipping his Raptors just to try to make this play. They're waiting for the bot lane crash here, and he will be spotted out yet again by this hawk shot. So looks like this wave, it's not going to be doing too much. I think they're just going to try and bully them where they can and potentially look for a play in mid, as Samikin, again, still has no flash.
And it is, yeah, That Oriana no flash here. We're seeing Bio hover around, probably waiting for that Scuttle Crab to spawn. It does get annoying too when you're laning into the Ezreal and you're constantly having to dodge mystic shots and have to CS all at the same time. And they're playing right up in their face, just like you were talking about, Alk. And if you try and go in onto the Braum too, it just becomes so difficult. Concussive blows will stun you up. Ezreal is able to create space with the Arcane Shift. So this lane is actually extremely impressive. Not exactly what Levitate wants to play into, as we're going to see 1 versus 1 here. It's going to be Hoarder, huge HP advantage onto Quacker, trading grass procs, jumping right on in. The shield going to block that auto attack away. We saw the junglers scruff a little bit on the minimap in the bot side. It's actually going to be now Bio with some alone time here in the bot side jungle. And again, around this tower, this is where things could get dangerous. They're waiting for this lane to crash. We'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, Hoarder might need to try to go for an early back and look to teleport onto this wave to save his bottom lane. This is super dangerous. If they don't get this play to work, then Ollie is super far ahead.
And Bio's going to jump right on in. Hasn't used the Arctic Assault just yet. It's looking going to be a 1-for-1 here. Dum Dum's pretty healthy. Neither of Scary Jerry or Kim down taking the tower. 1-for-1. The kill actually goes over to Levitate as well. So, and they're going to make the counterpunch on the top side. So, especially if this works out for them, this is going to be especially good here for Team Hoarder. Let's see how this plays out, as Hoarder is not Mega, so those crowd control abilities aren't at his ready. Ixtal's Impact, let's see how Ollie uses it. Gonna wait on that for the moment. Pathmaker gonna push him back. Quacker, now Ixtal's Impact is used. Dead. That was so boss, guys. What are we doing here? The Cassante says, thank you very much for the practical free kill.
I don't know why we're going for the dive. Like, our Gnar is not very close to Mega. At least he's not immediately going to be tripping it as soon as we go under the turret. And, I mean, Quacker, while not having flash because he opted for the Ghost in this matchup, I just don't think it's real. We don't have a ton of damage. At this point, all he needs to do is go towards his camps, make sure that they're going to be resetting on time, and then be ready for the next play. At most, what they're doing on that top side is just trying to pressure Cassante into using a summoner. Once he's using the Ghost, I think that's it. I think there's not much more after that play, and with that, it means that Ollie is going to be going down. It's going to be a little bit of wasted time from himself, and immediately going for the swap, they really want to play for these grubs. Kim down as well, and level advantage here for Samikin. He has the ult ready to go.
On to Bio. Aojun is following it up. Kim down as well. Samikin in the wings. Can't really help out his jungler for the moment. Can use the shockwave though on Aojun, and he's just one-shot there. The Corgi just face plants in the river. All he has to run now is they're going to reestablish some priority here. Is Team Quacker inside of the river? This 3v3 will continue. They did not know the Cassante was waiting inside of the bush. Good peel here from Dum Dum. Grand entrance is nice. So 1-for-0 here for the side of Team Hoarder. And I don't think this play is going to continue. It's River Prio for Quacker's team.
After they were killing Aljun, all they needed to say is, let's just go back mid, let's hit the turret, we're not contesting. We just used our command shockwave on this mid laner. We got the kill. What that means is that it is harder for this blue team to actually start up the grubs. And that's it. You already moved your bottom side. You can just wait for them to push in this top wave and immediately move back in. It means that now Ollie no longer has his flash. Scary Jerry, though.
Forward. Scary Jerry is in trouble here. Wasn't expecting this round of Hoarder. Going to follow the flash. This should just be a dead Ezreal. Stomping him down is the Gnar. That's going to be it. Grass proc is good. Solo Bolo down here. Definitely not something we were expecting. All the meanwhile, Bio clearing away on that dragon.
Not great. It's what you wanted to see coming out from Hoarder. He really outplayed in this situation. Scary Jerry dying there now means that they're missing out on top waves. They're going to be missing out. Ollie, please just start these grubs. I'm begging you. This entire time, Hoarder wants to be able to hit on the side lane. They're going to grab this dragon here for blue team, and depending on what the dragon is, potentially that is their way of being able to get out of this game. They could potentially go for a dragon stack if we're going to be trading for grubs. Gonna be making this play on a Hoarder. Remember, no flash after that last play.
And is in the mini Gnar form. Is getting very close to stacking up that Gnar bar, but shouldn't really matter. This is 3 versus 1. Hoarder, you're in some trouble. Not going to transform anyways. Bio with the Aftershock. They're going to claim that kill, so that's going to be the over punish, or at least the over aggression from the side of Hoarder in that side lane. The response, 3 grubs up on top for Hoarder. So back and forth plays from both of these teams. They might make a play on Quacker here soon.
Yeah, that play on bottom lane just means that Hoarder probably going to have to invest another summoner spell. He already used the flash in that first play. He's going to TP, and look, Braum and Sejuani are here.
Oh, no.
Again. He needs to be able to stack Mega really, really quickly. Bio's nowhere near level 6.
Can you do it in time? It doesn't really look like it. He's getting close. Can use the double hop to try and create some space. Scary Jerry able to close the gap here with the arcane shift. The enchanted crystal arrow goes wide. It's still a 1-for-1. It's actually a 2-for-1. And that's going to be minions denied and plates going to Scary Jerry. But the 2 kills for Hoarder definitely better than what he may have anticipated at the start of that play.
Nars behind, I will say, despite all of that, and you know, the mechanical flubs that were happening there, great job coming out from Hoarder. It will turn into more plates here for Scary Jerry as he has a lone time and a very large minion wave. So with some individual whoopsies coming in from this game, I think despite all of this, Scary Jerry is pretty far up for what we want to consider in terms of an Ezreal, and Quacker's trying to look for it, has the ultimate, goes for the Q3, misses. Uh-oh.
Misses that Q3 there. Looks for the all-out angle. Couldn't quite find it. Levitate now. Concussive blows for being stacked. Quacker going to close the gap with the all-out here. Pathmaker doesn't have the damage, though. So Levitate is going to have to be finished off there from the skill shot from Kim Down. And they're able to punish here in the top lane onto the Team Hoarder bot lane. Bio getting aggressive in the jungle as well, but that's just going to be the kill that they're able to receive. And that gives Bio a little bit more confidence to make this play happen. But it's level 7 to level 5. That's pretty insane here, the jungle discrepancy in the XP department.
I will say, Bio's just got much more done on the map. Ollie does have an experience and a gold lead right now, but from what Bio and Kim Down have been able to do, I think this game is really, really strong for them right now. They're only down 500 gold, and then you look across from them, Ezreal has his individual lead. We're expecting for Quacker to continue to be a really strong top laner when we talk about what's been happening so far in the Combine, and as it is, I mean, Bio is just getting a lot more done on the map. I think that the way that he's pressuring alongside his lanes, the fact that they are making plays on these dives, they're trying to cut out the opponents from gold and experience, is perfectly fine. It just comes down to execution, and we have seen time and time again in this game that the dives have not been incredibly clean, but so far I do think that blue team is not that bad. Right now, Samikin
goes wide. Samikin in trouble. Yeah. Gonna take a bit of damage here, down to half HP. Gonna survive underneath that tower. Aljun gonna shoot away onto Hoarder here. Missile barrages are gonna be dodged away from this. Nar's got some happy feet, and Ollie might just be scooping in here for the alley-oop. Aljun, you're in trouble, my friend. What can you do on the Corki? You're gonna dodge away from the X-Tal's impact flash. Hoarder, and that's gonna be good. The Valkyrie creates the space. Topside levitates down once again. Quacker getting that one. Ollie finishes off the job, but still getting that trade in the 2v1. Gotta feel good for the Corki. Scary Jerry gets away with the shift there, and that will be it for all the action happening all across the map in this one.
Awesome job from Aljun. I mean, he gets the 1v1. He does invest his flash, which might come to hurt him come time for these grubs, as well as this Drake spawning in a minute. I think the grubs being a little bit more important. You really want to you do not want to be giving over 6 grubs to the opponents here, especially when you have double ranged with this Orianna and Ashe. Ashe very, very potent at being able to take, but Levitate's also really far behind. Trinity Force Spike coming in. Quacker finishing his Iceborne Gauntlet already. These 2 items make it difficult for the red team. If the blue team just decides, hey, we're not going to give this objective, we want to fight for it, I think this is kind of a tough ask here. And Aljun, he's very close to finishing Collector first item. He can pick up this wave. If he's not already finished with it, he can then TP as well. Yeah. I think that this is going to be a tough spot. I think red side might have to just give up these grubs, look for a dragon, potentially even look towards bottom lane, as right now, Levitate and Dum Dum have not been having a great game so far. Not only with that level 1 that we saw, but even the bot lane play individually. Levitate has just been getting caught time and time again, thanks to Kim Down and the rest of the squad.
They're hitting on the grubs here. They're going to go for this play. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to land here onto Kim Down, who's going to try and dash away towards Aljun, create some space with the Valkyrie. They should be able to grab this kill onto the Braum. Can they turn now down towards where Bio here is clearing away the grubs? It's been very slow for this Sejuani. Gets the smite onto the second one, but if they get this is 4 grubs for them, and they actually get the Void Might. So they were able to somehow, despite that little discrepancy in the gold, make this happen. Shockwave now onto Bio, who's way out of position. They're committing the TP for this, but I don't know if they're going to get much. Levitate's here to join the party as well. What can Quacker do on this Cassante path? They're going to stun up Samikin, but there's the appeal to bring him right on back. Scary Jerry dealing damage in the backline, but they just take out that Cassante. Their next target will be this Ezreal Arcane Shift to buy some space.
Let's go!
Gonna flash forward. Scary Jerry stays alive. The Mystic shots miss here onto Ollie, who's very low on HP. Kim Down wants to pursue pursue this play. Samikin over the wall, going to utilize that flash. So both teams with some shifty plays, but in the end, I think we can say Team Hoarder, they made a pretty insane macro call there to get more than what they should have.
I was very afraid. I was saying, okay, look, you got 2 grubs. That's perfectly fine. Jerry and Kim down, seeing if they can try to outplay Levitate in the situation. Buy over top, though. Oh, man. That was really awesome. Glad they were able to try to finally find that kill. Hoarder, this entire time, hitting away in this bot lane. He does not have TP, so there's going to be a lot of plates coming in for this Gnar. How much gold can he actually squeeze out of the game? Finally, as a Trinity Force, he has a pretty individually large lead against his opponent, but so far, I love what we're getting from this game. I know we had a really long break, and what I wanted to see from these players is, you know, what did they do during that break? How much relaxation time that they actually have? Were they able to internalize some of the learnings that they've had over the weeks? Because when you play sets back to back to back every single day for 2 weeks, you can start to get into a routine. Sometimes you get into bad cycles. And for a lot of these players, I think that they've had games that maybe they're not super proud of. I know talking to some of them, they were not super proud of some of these games. So they really want to put up on the last week of the Combine.
Gonna go all out here. And that's exactly what you want to do. You want to go all out. Exactly. Last week of the Combine, you had some rest. Now is your time to prove to the people who are watching you and making these decisions on who's going to go to LA why you deserve to be here. And it's all about growth. You and I were talking about this before the stream. It's not necessarily about how many kills you get in this certain game. What's your CS per minute in this one? It's all about where were you at the start? Where were you towards the end? What potential are you showing to everyone who's watching you perform here? That's what's at stake for these players as we see Rift Herald being taken by both Bio and Kim down. No contest this time around, or at least I don't think, as this is going very low. They'll be able to secure this neutral objective. Utilize this to maybe start to crack open some towers around the outer area. Still yet to get one of those towers is Team Quacker. Maybe looking towards the mid lane. Maybe thinking about later on in the next Drake. But Baojun in trouble. Hoarder chasing him down. There's the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. No cleanse on this Corki. You're going to go faceplant once again. Caught out in the side lane. The ensuing fight will continue in the river. Kim down is now the one to be caught out. Impale is good from Ollie. They're rolling his Team Hoarder here. And let's see what they can get.
And that just completely collapses the map. I mean, Aljun falling now means Hoarder gets this top tier 1. With Kim down out and as well just going down, maybe they can look for something in mid. This is such a good spot here for this red team. They can even continue to pressure on this mid wave. They have the Orianna still, and Scary Jerry has to be careful. I had worries as to whether or not Skarner was going to be dealt with properly by someone like an Ezreal, and while Scary Jerry has had, you know, some ups and downs already in this first game, this game is not going to get any easier for this team. So Hoarder has been a really big problem in the side lanes, and we'll see how this continues to develop throughout the game, as now the enemy team having the Rift Herald, I think, is the one saving grace for this blue team as they continue to pick up items and look towards their second pair. As, I mean, Aljun getting closer to that second item. He's going to have Muramana soon. Same thing with Scary Jerry. Once those items come online, I think that's where we have to start evaluating how likely is it that blue team is going to be able to actually take the victory in this first game.
Certainly. I absolutely agree. And that is their timer to really make their mark. Like, they're falling behind in a couple of these plays. They're down 2k gold. The 2 item spikes, though, the item completions, like you were mentioning, is definitely where these teams are going to evaluate their strength around. And it should be 2 items coming through from both sides come this next Drake that's actually coming up in 2.5 minutes here. So that's really where we're going to kind of see the inclinations of who's going to start to take over this game, who is going to be in the driver's seat heading towards the mid to late game portion, and how can they transition from there. It's going to start with the mid tower being cracked. There's no real way to defend this if you are the side of Team Hoarder. And that tier 1 tower going to drop. They have control around the river again. Still a good amount of time before we get towards that Infernal Drake. But this has been a relatively bloody game. 21 kills. There's still some things that we could see in between. And the side lanes have been the real problem here for the side of Team Quacker.
For sure, I feel it's so weird just because Scary Jerry and like a lot of the AD carries have been sitting around mid, just clearing waves, making sure that they can contest if they want to try to move in. What we've been seeing from these teams so far is really a style of play where we're so focused on mid wave, and then after that we look to move out on the map. So moving from the mid lane into outer lanes. Most of the time when we look at competitive play and we're kind of looking towards objectives, a lot of it is fixing your side lanes and then moving in towards mid. So I want to see how they're going to be able to use, specifically on red side, Hoarder here, someone that has had a lot of game time with even his teammate here in Levitate earlier on throughout the year, last year. So I want to see if Hoarder can properly kind of calm this game from the top lane, saying, okay, look, I have 4 Grubs, I'm on the side lane, I have a really, really strong lead, Black Cleaver and Trinity Force already done. Anywhere that I'm at is a power play for us, looking to try to use their Grubs and take down this mid-tier 1.
They should be able to get a good chunk of damage here, although the defense is going to be mounted from the side of Team Quacker. The Glacial Fish are going to come through from the Braum. They're trying to burst down Hoarder before he can transform here. Heal from Dum Dum used as well. All he's taking up in the front side, going to find
There it is!
Tail onto 2. That's massive, and the Gnar into the wall as well from Hoarder is big. They find 2 in this fight. We're talking about this player. Comes up big for his squad here, with his teammate Levitate from All Star as well. They should be able to knock down this mid-tier 1 after this play has concluded. Quacker doing his very best to use Pathmaker to interrupt the CC of the Grand Entrance. Taking so much damage, though, on the backside. They're really trying to hold on to this, but can they do it? It's 5 versus 3. It doesn't look like that's the case. Hoarder jumps forward here inside of the minion, trying to bait Quacker to go into a situation he doesn't want to, but it's not going to work. And now let's look towards this Infernal Drake.
It's getting spicy, but I will say Red Team are pushing the pace of the game. They've taken the mid-tier 1 just to try to grab this. Canceling TPs does mean that this Dragon, though, is going to be going over to blue side, as unless Hoarder and Samikin really want to TP for this, Ollie should be able to eventually get there. Dum Dum should die here. I mean, this is Collector as well. Bio's here. Okay, so
wow,
third Drake
as well.
going to be going over. Flash taking away from Rakan is, really great, I think, for the blue team, but getting this Dragon is the more important call. Really great cancel from Scary Jerry with the ultimate to be able to grab all those members. So, as is, we're still waiting for those 2 items. They're going to be coming online very, very soon. Ezreal already done with his, but you look across, just the generically strong team fight that we talked about during draft, saying it is just so cut and clear what this red side team wants people to do. You have Skarner who's able to bunch people up. Same thing with this Orianna. And you have set up for every other individual piece. So despite some of the early hiccups, some of the laning phases that were not perfect, I think we're getting some really strong performances and I think a good identification from Red Team as to what they need to be able to do in this game.
I think it's on Team Quacker to be able to maybe find fights that are a bit sloppier. You have Ezreal and Corki who, with their range, can be able to make things happen in those fights. And if those ultimates, those critical ultimates, Impale, Gnar, Shockwave, they can't find meaning here, it's only onto one person, they miss, that is where the side of Hoarder's team is going to start to crumble. So maybe the chaotic little bit is what the side of Team Quacker are going to be looking for here. But for the most part, in these fights, you're talking about it all. It has just been coordinated, very clear what they want to do. Let's see how this play breaks out. This is 4 versus 2. This is exactly what they want. Dum Dum is going to use the double battle dance to escape, though. They did get the flash off of Levitate, so that is something at the very least.
Yeah, that is, I think, more important than the kill right there. The kill would have been nice, but getting that flash off of Levitate means Baron is something that they could try to look to pull. And remember, the identification of what this blue team needs to do. Poke away your opponents, whittle them away, like sending the Rakan ult, Dum Dum.
That's not going to be the Shockwave quickness combo that you want. They're just going to walk that one down. True Shot Barrage dodged away from. That's 2 key ultimates here, Alt, that have been utilized here. And what can Team Quacker do with this little bit of extra pace that they've got now?
Thankfully for them, that doesn't turn into all that much. It will also take away the flash from Algene. So trying to trade flashes from these 2 marksmen on their team, I think is a worthwhile trade. We're talking about Baron being up on the table. Whenever you have double marksmen like Corki and Ezreal, there is always a worry that blue team can just try to leverage this objective as a potential staging ground for a fight. They're saying, okay, look, we're going to start this Baron. We're going to try to pull the opponents, whether it's their TPs, whether it's them actually moving into position, and then we're trying to turn off of this objective to find a fight. I think it's just so hard to try to turn when you're mostly playing in Ezreal and Corki. So from this position, what I want to see from both teams, from blue side, how can we actually utilize either the dragons that are coming up in 2.5 minutes? Can we leverage the fact that Levitate no longer has flash before this fight? And for red team, is getting into creative positions, getting those wards to create flank opportunities for someone like Hoarder or even Dum Dum can be very, very influential into this game. So I'm looking to see how Hoarder and Dum Dum play in this part of the map, as they really need to be creative and working together to get really strategic vision.
And the ward coverage for the side of Team Hoarders. We're going to see
Uh-oh,
Enchanted Crystalero come through. Scary Jerry holding his ground here, getting the concussive blows down onto Ollie. The Ezreal's looking real good in this one. That kill is going to go over to the Corki. This is the scrappy plays that they need. Hoarder can't even transform. The Gnar forward is not going to get much, but the Shockwave's going to be able to take out Scary Jerry, but now Samakin is out of position. Quacker in the backline is causing havoc. There's nothing that both Dum Dum and Levitate can do to deal with this Cassante. Samakin will drop Q3, will land on the Levitate. They should just back off and look towards this Baron. After that, Team Quacker, they are the ones making the plays here in the mid game.
Great job, and really when we talk about this Ashe pick, not only is it for the ability to get vision immediately, great hawk shot to know that they're not going to be starting this. It looks like their focus is going to be, let's just back up, let's reset, set up for the dragon in a minute and a half. They don't want to try and risk it, maybe with Ollie coming back, you know, maybe they're worried about not having enough damage now that there's no all-out, and specifically Scary Jerry is down, even though Outjune is available, but I mean, we said, hey, there's no flashes on some of the key carries. Let's see if they can try to force. One of the great things about Ashe is when you have ultimate, when you have your Enchanted Crystalero, you can always find a pick. You can say, okay, you're either going to have to flash or you're going to get hit. Levitate missing out on that key ultimate means that blue side can immediately look for the turn. Great job from them to be able to grab a lot of those kills, and Flash is still not available. Samakin using that in the last fight makes contesting for this dragon even more difficult than before, so hopefully Levitate can maybe find the piercing arrow to try to find everybody, but if that Enchanted Crystalero is not available, or they just are not able to kind of land it on the mark, I think it's so tough here.
Or if Bio just starts off this play as well, they want to be the ones to go in. They're leveraging the no flash on the Ashe. The electrocute proc from Aojun is actually what secures that kill. So showing off why he chose that in the mastery choice is good.
Let's go,
Dum Dum. Onto Scary Jerry with the arcane shift, but the flash will bring him to safety. Hoarder is now out of position. Quacker teleports in from the top lane as well. It is still all the team blue in this one. Now they have the resources to go for the Baron. They might get the consolation prize in the Drake over here, but there isn't much damage.
Yeah, I think the fact that you're taking Baron not only away from this team, but also a team that has 4 grubs is very, very good coming out from them. We're starting to see some of the inevitability of a champion like Corki come into play. Ezreal, although difficult to take down, we saw Scary Jerry really trying to maximize some of the fluidness that you can be in terms of your positioning. They're even contesting for this, bringing over Aojun.
Oh, yeah. Pathmaker's good. Ollie's going to be chased down. Concussive blows land. No flash on the Skarner. Ixtal's impact. It's actually going to be Quacker to get in the way and prevent the escape there from the Skarner.
Okay.
The Shockwave, though, is good. The shutdown goes to Levitate. They might have aggressed too far forward. Teleport coming through here. It's going to be Hoarder to join the play now to chase down Kim down. They get the Baron, does blue side, but they over-aggress on the Drake, and they pay for it.
Losing 3 members, and for me, losing Aojun with this Baron is such a huge loss for this blue team. You want someone who's going to be able to side lane at some point, and now it's going to have to either be Bio sitting in mid lane and most likely babysitting Scary Jerry just to make sure that they can get the waves in. I mean, this is a tough position, and like we were saying, an overforce coming in from them now as they've lost out on those objectives. They still lost the dragon on this trade, so we're going to be going towards a soul that's potentially 10 minutes out at the very least. Because of some sloppy play and maybe them being a little too aggressive to be expected from our players, especially for a bunch of guys that really want to make it into that top 5, the top 10, who are going to be making it over to LA for the in-person tryouts here for the Path2Pro Combine. So I mean, I get the reasoning saying, hey, we can try to contest on both, but you need to be a lot more precise, and you need to be a lot more careful, especially since you don't have vision of Samakin in that moment. So now we have Dragon spawning in. I don't know how much of this Baron they're going to actually utilize. I think we're going to be getting into a bit of a holding pattern and seeing if they can fish out for more summoner spells.
That's exactly what they want. It's Levitate, though, who has the flash. Samakin, it's coming back up soon. Ollie as well. But skill control, for the most part, in this game for Team Quacker. They have Baron buff still on a couple members, so they still have these Baron empowered minions. Scary Jerry, more specifically, still having that buff. The siege begins onto the tier 2. The Glacial Fissure or the Prison will land. The Fissure comes out as well from Kim down to support. Should be able to grab this. Ollie's going to re-engage Ixtal's impact on the Kim down, who doesn't really care too much. The Impaled, though, might bring him to danger or might just bring him into the whole team. I don't think the Braum really cares that much. Levitate's going to be the next target. Aojun, Valkyrie forward, procs the concussive blows, does the damage, flashes forward. Missile barrage will force Dum Dum's flash out as well. They continue the siege onto the inhibitor tower. They should be able to grab the inhibitor on top of that. They make the plays happen. The snap onto Samakin is great.
They're going to back after taking this inhibitor. I was wondering if they're going to try to go for just a little bit more. Mega Gnar is going to start to run out on Hoarder. Maybe there's an angle for them, but fantastic fight yet again, finding Samek and Bio, despite an early game kind of going the way of Ollie, losing out on a large quadrant of his camps, because they weren't able to make that play on top side, because Quacker was able to get that kill into Ollie. Bio has just been more effective on the map, and I think that's so impressive for a guy who's had a very, very outstanding year one here in competitive. I mean, that entire run on Ducky Getters has been very, very influential to a lot of people in terms of how aspiring it was. I think it's awesome to see. He's been getting better and better throughout the weeks here in the Path2Pro Combine, and glad to see here in the second game, or in this first game of the set, that he's immediately, okay, creative problem solving. Okay, hey, I'm down a couple camps. How do I make this effective? Let's try to stack up a dive. And you have such competent players in bot lane like Scary Jerry and Kim Down. I'm loving that they executed on him. We're getting to see the effects of that still 28 minutes in.
One of the great qualities of junglers, especially at the professional level, is being able to handle that adversity, because things get really rough for you in certain games. We kind of saw that here as Aojun going to use the Valkyrie to get away from the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Bio's done a fantastic job of that, and they're very close to being on the cusp here of winning out in this game. It's just going to take a couple more fights that are going to have to go their way. They're going to use the Glacial Fissure here and the Glacial Prison to try and knock down Hoarder. And the Mini-Gnar just going to walk that one out. So a little bit of their power for the moment has been walked back. It's going to buy a little bit of time for Team Hoarder to hold on and wait out on their arrow to come back up and make these plays. Things are very tense inside of the jungle here. Aojun's actually going to Valkyrie into the pit. He's cornered. He's no flash. Aojun, the missed position here could be crucial for Team Hoarder to jump on this one. And that's exactly what they do. Quacker could be in trouble as well. Hoarder's level 16. This Ash is going to slow you down. The Permafrost arrows are so OP, but the Blast Cone should bring you to safety. Can they pursue this kill?
Oh, they're flashing for it.
Oh! The Hexgate. Hey, the great escape from Quacker gets out of that one.
That's awesome. We got Flash out from the Nard. That's a potential pool taken away. Aojun there. What was that? I mean, we saw him on the top side of the map. He's pushing in the waves. He's like, okay, I'm going to get ganked here. Let me back up. He doesn't even finish his recall. He actually backs away from the brush, TPs towards the enemy Raptors on red side, and then walks in and dies anyway. Those are huge summoner spells to be wasting. Now he's not going to be a competent side laner for this game. He's been having great team fights where he's coming in and doing a lot of damage, but so far, and something of a criticism that I've had so far throughout this Combine has been that Aojun has had really high highs and some very low lows. I think at the high highs, he's playing marksman in mid lane, his Smolder games, specifically even his Lucian game that he played where he went absolutely ballistic in the mid lane was awesome, but when it comes to some of the team fighting, I think Aojun really needs to dial in, and this is a perfect time to be able to do that in this set. You have great players to try to go for it, and we talk about the focus champion pools. I mean, you really don't have to be worrying too much on your own individual mechanics. Just play out the team fights as well as you can. We have Dragon spawning now. Key things for me, no flash on Aojun and no flash here for Levitate. And that Hoarder flash I think that we just saw could come to bite them as Hoarder's trying to find Mega Gnar. He's trying to be able to build up that rage.
He's definitely trying to get that one done. 10 seconds, though, on the Baron here. This throws a little bit of a wrench in this play for both teams. I don't think they have the damage, does Team Hoarder, to burn this down. I mean, look how quickly this dragon is gone. Yep. This is sole point now for the side of Team Quacker. They're making their way towards the Baron. It feels like in this game, whoever has gone first are the ones to be able to be successful in these fights. There's a couple exceptions, like the play that Team Quacker made around the Dragon, where they overextended, and they weren't aware of the Hex Gates and the respawn timers. But it's Bio's Glacial Prison, it's Hoarder on the Gnar who doesn't have Flash to make that play happen. It's Samikin's Shockwave, it's the Ixtal impact angles from Ollie, whoever is hitting these targets first, these key targets like Samikin, Levitate, Aojun, and Scary Jerry, that is where the success is being found in this game. So looking towards who has the better setup. I mean, we've talked about the setup all game.
Yeah. Ferris, do you play any like card games?
I mean, not video game card games, no.
Okay.
If that's what you're talking about.
Okay, well, typically I would say that, this is just a general thing in any kind of strategy game, but going first is usually really OP. That's why there's so many different mechanics across different card games of trying to balance for going second, but we're seeing kind of the effects of stuff like you were saying, that general concept of being able to have the first turn. And here we go, Skarner by himself.
It's gonna be Ollie to go.
There's no one here.
You're going first, but there's no follow-up. Ollie's just gonna drop here before they can even get it started, and all this is gonna be the jungler down. I played a little bit of Wizard 101 in my time, but that was kind of a turn-based game, so from that I can kind of understand the going first, but I think they ended up changing that. But nonetheless, Ollie, when you go first, man, you got to make sure the team is backing you up. In that situation, that wasn't happening, and now they're here on the
were just nowhere there. They were all the way walking from base, and now we're getting they're going to turn off of this objective. This Baron is not real.
It's got to be 4v5. They just want the fight, though. Certainly, this is the play here. Quacker's getting pretty low, though. Bio is yet to go in. Look at the huge shockwave, though! That was massive from Samikin and Dum Dum. That's the play they needed. What in the world was that? Hoarder has free kills to clean up. That is the play of the century. Play of the Combine, maybe. That was so good here. They're going to get everything off of that.
That's what we've been waiting for all game long. We've saw bits and pieces of it throughout this 30-minute game. We've got the individual shockwaves, him and Ollie being able to link up together. We even saw them practice this earlier in this game where Dum Dum goes and flies in, but they miss out on the shockwave. We finally got to see them execute on it, and that right there was the turning point in this one. Great job coming in from Samikin, being able to find that massive shockwave, and the rest of the team being able to find that. I mean, for Blue Team, that is a hard spot to play from. You no longer have the Sejuani ult. You're missing out on a lot of your key ultimates to be able to change the fight terrain. And right there, we get to see it time and time again. 2 minutes before this dragon now. And with it being the sole point for Blue Team, they will not have flash on either of their marksmen. That right there could stop them from being able to contest, but they need to be able to find someone like Samikin who likewise does not have that summoner spell.
Again, it's which team can get those very vulnerable members and which team can actually stay in the good spots here. Kim Down is just going to face tank everything. He's like, I don't care about that. They found the Samikin. They found the Orianna who has no flash. Scary Jerry's just going to arcane shift forward. The first kill of the fight is going to be Kim Down, who is going to go down. Dum Dum will follow. Quacker finds that one. Hoarder in the backside will take down Scary Jerry. It's madness around here. This Cassante isn't going all out enough, though. Aljo left in the 1 versus 3. Hoarder in hot pursuit. They should be able to get out of this one, but that's going to be massive for them. Hoarder, hey, you've landed the boulders, now into the Mini-Gnar, gonna face tank everything with the Sterix. They're just gonna run this one down. Do they have enough time to end the game?
Yeah, they've got Baron, they've got 4 grubs as well, and they're just tanky enough. Hoarder can even TP if he needs to. Fantastic fight right around that. It was Samikin getting caught, but Ezreal just a little too aggressive in this one. And they've got grubs. It's only going to be Kim Down 15 seconds before Bio and 15 before Scary Jerry's alive.
Too long. I think they got it in the bag. Kim Down is doing their very best, doing their darndest, but you're just a very buff man with a shield. The heart is the strongest muscle, but not when you're 3 versus 1 defending the Nexus. And Team Hoarder, they strike first in this 3 block. What an exciting game that we had. And they are going to be the ones who execute just a little bit better.
Well, you have to think about it. You got to be able to hold your, your individual stance, your posture in those fights. And my big eye coming into this one was that Baron fight around towards the end of that game at like 33 minutes. They were starting up the Baron, but they looked like they were a little bit lost. And as someone who's been sitting in on almost every single one of these days listening to teams, one of the biggest problems that we're seeing from a lot of the teams and a lot of the players is their ability to say, okay, hey, we might just have to drop this objective, try to reset and go for it. Resetting and kind of resetting the mental, resetting where you're playing, and kind of having a clear game plan can be very tricky as we go throughout all of these games. So again, just another skill that we want to see out of these players get honed and refined as we go throughout the Combine. And we're towards the end of we're 12 days in of a 3-week Combine. So a lot of games still to be played, but that right there has been, I think, a good through line for a lot of teams throughout this.
It's always those pressure situations. You're thinking about so many things at once. The comms might be cluttered. You're obviously not playing with the same players every game, so building up that synergy can be difficult. And it's those very tense moments. Do we reset? Do we actually go for this fight? We might be split up here in our comms, in our decision making, and it can bite you in those games. It is absolutely very difficult. So congratulations, Team Hoarder. They end up getting that done. They get the better of their opponents in that exchange. But with the way this game has gone, though, we might be seeing some back and forth action for the next two to follow. And those two will be coming up after a very short break. So when we return, we will see the continuation of these two teams here at the Saturn.gg Path2Pro Combine, day number 12. Do not go anywhere.
So hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the fall, we have felt it all come crashing down from 強く強く輝いて消えた流れ星ほら命が燃える何かに怯え走り続けたその虚しさのしじなに何を見て何を探してきた自分の声がただ響く幾千万の星の中で惹かれて出会った守り手たちよ回る回る時の輪の中で自分の弱さ強さの先に同じ空誰かが見上げてるそう信じて消されない虹の奇跡が届けと冷たい指で涙拭ったあの日にはもう帰れない水平線目指して飛び立つ自分の願いを抱いて幾千万の星に呼ばれ交わりすれ違う守り手たちよ回る回る時に抗って未来を願ってもいいですか儚さから目をそらしたぐり寄せる道の兆しの向こうかける希望あなたの光あなたの命いたずらに知らさないようにそっとくれた記憶胸に熱く灯し約束の地へもう振り返らずに恋願う歌は空高く世界に銀河に広がってくそれがいつか風となり消えて新たな日が始まる越えてゆく時の輪の中で確かに刻みつけたきらめき同じ空誰かが見上げてる信じたから消されない虹の奇跡残した
We are back here with coverage of the Sido.gg Path to Pro Combine day number 12, and we have our beautiful picks here in the center of our screen for us now as we head into game number 2 here between Team Hoarder and Team Quacker. Team Hoarder getting the better of their counterparts in game number 1. Ready to see what maybe some adjustments are as these teams have now swapped sides.
Yeah, right there in the middle of your screen, as you can see, these are the available champion pools for all of our players throughout at least for the next coming days. If this changes, obviously, we'll update that for you as it happens. But for both teams, they're also only allowed one ban in either the first phase or the second phase. So an entire one ban during the entire the entire draft is very, very important. So we're seeing Corky and Ziggs. These are two champions that are immediately going to be banned. These are going to be the real bans. Those second two do not matter. If someone else in chat is saying, why is there a Nefiri banned? I'm hoping that chat will be able to help us here. So Taking a look, we're getting a first pick for the Skarner. This was kind of my worry of having Skarner not in the available pool for junglers. With both teams being able to have one special pick every single game on either side, I think you're immediately going to have to spend your special pick on Skarner, especially with how OP this champion has been. I mean, you just look across the entire Combine, and every single jungler has at least played this champion like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, Ollie's taking it in again. I think it's going to be a constant here unless it's the one that's been taken away. But actually, they really wanted the Corki taken down. And Samikin, we know as a player, likes more of those mage-style champions. So
yes,
some people might have had wonderings of whether Samikin would be willing to pull that champion out. So obviously, Team Quacker were like, yeah, okay, Corki's OP, probably going to be played by Samikin, so let's take that one away, and the Skarner will be the response here. Really aggressive bot side for both Scary Jerry and Kim Down. The Ashe, Renata Glask, up against, well, a pretty solid 2v2 of their own here for Levitate and Dum Dum, although they do definitely have the range advantage here. So the question is, what kind of advantage can this Astronaut get, at least in the early going in this 2 versus 2, as I do think this is pretty volatile here and can get tough for both the Rakan and the Kaisa in the 2v2.
Yeah, I think the lane matchup is really difficult, and then you have to think about when we get later into the game, the Ashe, while Kaisa will have a range advantage in terms of her damage, the effective use case of something like an Ashe with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow makes her a lot deadlier than what we kind of see. And Rakan, not a champion that builds a ton of tank stats, not a champion that is notoriously very beefy, so the fact that Ashe Ultimate can have extremely high value already is going to be a little worrisome for me. Picking up the Vi here on the back end of their first round of draft, I think that right now what we're seeing is a really strong pick composition. You have the Vi, you have a lot of tools. Now I want to see some good damage to be able to follow. Again, Orianna would be a great takeaway, and then force Samikin to have to play the Ahri side of the matchup, as I don't really expect him to be playing the Smolder, the Tristana, the Sylas. These are champions that we didn't really get to see during most of NACL. And Samikin, this blue side already used their unique pick on the Skarner. I think that might be a piece of feedback we might have to give over to the side O people, as Skarner might just be the unique pick for one of these teams. And you have to start thinking, okay, how creative can you be? One of the stipulations was that, hey, you need to be practicing matchups coming into this and having that adaptability. So maybe Skarner becomes something that, becomes an issue as we get further on into this Combine. Udyr already, a self-counter pick with the Cassante, really dangerous. I mean, there's not many champions on that list that are going to do great into the Udyr, but this is not getting any better.
No, definitely not. You and I, before the show started, were talking about Quacker's Udyr and how good this player has gotten at this champion. Side lane pressure, 1v1 into the Cassante, very good. So that is some priority here, and maybe also winning lanes in the bot side too that we've been talking about. Some very good pick potential here. Disengage potential too with the hostile takeover from Kim Down's Renata Glask into something maybe like a Spirit Rush forward from Samikin's Ahri, who they've opted into going for, and the other engaged tools that are available for Team Porter. The response from Aojun into this Ahri. People talk about the Ahri-Sylas matchup. Is the Ahri enough to prevent this Sylas from getting online? I know Aojun in solo queue has been practicing a ton of their Sylas, probably in prep for the fact that the champion pool of this series is limited. So we'll see how well and how practiced Aojun is. Can Samikin, on champions he's more comfortable on in these mages, actually shut down this Sylas pick from coming online, as the rest of the lanes for Team Quacker don't look very promising?
I'm gonna have to say I really don't like this draft coming blue side. Like, we have losing bot matchup, so there's double ranged here, so getting prio should be easier for this red side. You have Vi, who can always try to look for a pick, can also stop Ahri from dashing away. You have a top side matchup that is notoriously very difficult, and something that a lot of these top laners have been practicing for the last year and a half. If you remember all of last year, just Udyr Cassante every single game. And then the Sylas Ahri matchup, it is easier for Ahri early on, but as the game goes on, Sylas just becomes tankier. He has the ability to steal your ultimate, and then he just deals so much more damage than Ahri. So I am very worried for this blue team that unless magic happens, unless we see Levitate drop like a 15 kill Kaisa game this time around, he is going to have such a difficult game. I think that this is, like, just from draft alone, this is one of those games that, I mean, if we have our famous co-streamer Uncle Phil, I wonder what he's kind of thinking about this, because from my perspective, if I'm the jungler here, if I'm Bio sitting here, I'm saying, okay, look, I have Prio from bottom lane, I have a winning top matchup, mid can be a little bit, like, funny if, something wrong happen, but for the most part, I can expect our team to really scale throughout the game. I have pick of the litter for whatever objective I want. I can take early grubs if I need to. I can take early dragon if that's something that we're looking for. I would. This is like a jungler's like dream to have 3 pretty decent lane, 2 for, in my opinion, winning lanes, and then the 1 mid lane where can get a little spicy. I'm fine with this. This is great.
So you talk about Levitate, 15 kill Kai'Sa. That's the avenue here, and that's the angle for Team Hoarder. We need some magic from them to be able to win in what we believe is the draft advantage over your Team Quacker. What is that magic going to be here, do you think, Alk, as a final closing point here before we head into the spectate delay? What can they do? What can they leverage here? What advantages can they try and find to be able to get their Kai'Sa to get online here, or maybe even their Ahri as well, to start running some mid-game fights and then utilize that advantage to snowball a potential victory?
I think it's hard, but obviously trying to get level 6 for Samikin is going to be a really big spike for us, as when you look at this blue side, you can then take that as a roam timer, drop the wave mid. I think that if we're just trying to say, like, hey, you're playing a ranged into Sylas matchup, you're going to have Prio in this lane, Sylas will be trapped under his turret, so Samikin needs to be active on the map, looking for bot dives when they can, trying to put Scary Jerry and Kim down at a disadvantage, because the second that that's not available, or if Ollie's not able to destabilize this lane, maybe we see Hoarder outplay. It's very tough as a jungler to be like, okay, they can always invade on me, they can always look for this, and even the support pairings with their 2, the support side on blue side can be very, very engage heavy, but they lack damage. But when you look on the opposite side, you've got Kalista, or you've got the Renata and the Vi, champions that can be very difficult to get on top of, but that Renata ult is also going to do numbers against this team. So even that, just the bailout, there's so many things for this, right? That there's so many tools that I think make it hard to even like a Kai'Sa to get a kill, because you have the resets from the W on Renata. Even Ahri wants to try and find and execute. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Red Side operates, because this should be a very clear way to win. This should be an easy win for them.
So we have our clear-cut favorites then established for this matchup. We're thinking it's going to be Team Quacker. They have the tools that they need to be able to knot up this sort of series that we got going on for ourselves. We will see how it all unfolds after a short break. And when we return, we'll be into game for the second one between these 2 teams. Don't go anywhere. It is game number 2 between Team Hoarder and Team Quacker here in day 12 of the Cyber.gg Path2Pro Combine. I'm still Ferris, still got Alk Battery with me on the broadcast desk. And we were talking in the draft about this team that Team Quacker have drafted and how we do believe there's some pretty marginal advantages for themselves. As I'll pause on this thought as we do see some engagements happening here in the level 1. Salmon actually going to start the charm. All he's forced to flash here, recalling.
Oh, he's just dead. Nope. Just let it die. Yeah, just don't use your.
Letting it happen. That's
cool.
That's crazy.
At that point, like, we're not using flash. Just let it go, bro. Just take the death. Just take the one death. It's fine. You're gonna respawn in time anyway. Levitate with a really deep ward, and he's gonna escape alongside some of his other teammates like Hoarder during all of that. Fantastic level 1 yet again coming in from our red side team, making sure that they are trying to stay really, really strong again. In the early game, I think it is so difficult for Ollie to play, and I think in general across these lanes for this blue side team to be able to kind of make any magic work. Something we were talking about right before the show is in this combine, there has been some talk about whether or not, like, you know, how even some of the drafts. I think in competitive, we've seen a lot of games where the draft doesn't look this good, or hey, like, you're not always going to be able to get a strong draft or strong winning lanes in all of your games. So I want to see how blue side is able to be creative. We're just getting a level 1. All right, we're just fighting over Raptors.
They're saying we're sending it back. As well. They don't care. They're saying, you know, you guys got the better of us in this one. We're going to get the better of you this time around. Ollie gets the smite down onto the Raptor here. Aujin getting in the mix of things as well. The Skarner hits level 2. Thankfully, able to get back to the safety of the tower is the Team Quacker mid laner. They get their prize. They get level 2. Now they can probably just, well, they have the lane swap as well. They're just going to be able to take everything around here, I do believe.
Yeah, Hoarder's just, he knows. Look at the lane swap that they've already gone for. Levitate was going to go topside just to try to evade this. This is something that both teams had to be aware of, saying, okay, we know that the early matchup is not good, the early lane is not great. Let's just try to lane swap on them and see if we can not only avoid this, but how can we get gold onto our jungle and our top laner here. Getting Ollie off to a good start, potentially cutting out a lot of the quadrants. Bio didn't even finish a full camp. He got most of the Raptors, but missing out on his top side. He went towards the bottom side of the map to try to get something done here.
Oh, he's gonna flash.
Oh, Bio
flash! He steals it away. He might just 1 versus 2 this with the red buff. I mean, actually, the Vine doesn't look like they're gonna be able to get out of this one. Flashes for the red buff, gives Ollie the kill though. In the assessment here, is that really going to be the worthwhile play here on? It delays the TP here from Hoarder. Gonna miss out on some of this XP. I guess that's the small thing here in this exchange.
It's all for Ollie's advantage here, and Bio, while going down, hey, at that point, like, he got his red buff. It's not great for his game, but it will mean that he'll be able to reset, go towards the bottom side. Quacker has to be careful. He's level 1, and he doesn't even have Ram stance right now. He only has Phoenix. If he can get the level 2 to try to get Ram, it's going to be great, but I think it's just going to be a kill, and he'll
start it. They're going to be able to get good burst damage with this Kai'Sa. Dum Dum is tanking, should actually fall. It's a 1 for 1. It's a 2 for 1 again. The dives have plagued both of these teams here in these early games. 2 kills go to the Udyr. Quacker's going to be quite happy about that.
And Scary Jerry has gotten 2 plates, and Quacker's still going to be able to TP and catch this wave. I think despite some of the early hiccups, yet again, I think Red Side is still outplaying their opponents on this. Fantastic job to be able to find that, and unfortunate for blue side, Ollie and Dum Dum yet again making a dive that on top side doesn't end up working, and they still get massive advantages for themselves for this red team. So I am not afraid of what's going on. This is what we're talking about. Oh, let's go Slammikin!
Flash forward with the charm right there, stepping out of the vision, stepping back in and saying to Aojun, I'm not done with you yet, and brings him down. That is, we're talking about Ari, we're talking about Slammikin in the draft. What things can go well here, especially after a disastrous dive like that just happened. Hey, look at that CS lead, 20 there for Slammikin. Aojun's going to pick up a couple there, but the Ari can make the melee champion in the Silas life very hard in this lane. Can prevent him from coming online. That is an angle, one of their angles, but 3 plates in this bot lane already. Oh my gosh, that is insane.
And they're swapping yet again. They want to just try and get as much gold as possible onto Scary Jerry. Maybe even leverage this into playing for an early grub set here. Aojun, that early trade we saw kind of went down very, very low. He had to reset, he had to stay in mid, and just now using the teleport after his kill, I think showing a lot of respect, a lot of poise and restraint around his summoner spell usage. But now with Bio on the top side, are they going to try and make this play onto Hoarder? He has no teleport, he has no flash. Potentially what they can do is after this wave, good poke damage, but really we're looking to play under this turret. Oh, he gets it! Wait a minute!
He gets hit by the handshake. Hoarder Might just drop here. Scary Jerry, his support is taking the tower for him, but the shield
No!
comes through. No! None. Okay, it's going to be a 1-for-1. It's all right in the end, I suppose. But on the other side of the map, Quacker went down. Now Ollie's fighting Bio. They're scrapping it up. Bio's guy. Where did my teammates go? Hey, we were supposed to be winning over there on that top side. I'm not supposed to be left in between towers. What's going on? Now I'm flanked by a Scorpion and a Fox. This is not what I had on my bingo card for the start of the game, but it's what you're going to get. Samikin gets kill number 2. And this magic for Team Hoarder, it might just be in the air.
What's going on in this series already, Ferris? I mean, game 1, we had some really wacky dives that ended up in multiple people being able to grab kills on the backside. Here again, we see Hoarder. I mean, Scary Jerry and Kim Down just overestimating how much damage. Look, Ash does a lot of damage. We're not going to get around that, but I mean, Hoarder playing that really, really well, being able to get the 1-for-2 and then setting up for the enemy jungle to go down. We wanted to see that, hey, with these strong laning pairs, can you actually get an early set of objectives? But it's going to be 3 grubs here, potentially, for the blue side. They're going to try and move on in. Samikin still has ultimate, and Bio's trying to find something. He will have the smite, so he should be able to contest.
Gonna look to try and deny this one away. They're actually just gonna back right off. Honestly, probably a smart idea here with Scary Jerry and Kim Down flanking Aljun, taking away the quickness from Dum Dum, who's level 3 as well. So you know what? 2 out of the 3 grubs. Maybe he was a little greedy to go for the 3. You can still, depending on how the next couple minutes go, contest the next trio. Maybe even get yourself Void Mites while on top of that denying Void Mites away from your opponent as well. We talked about grubs for Team Quacker being pretty beneficial to them, especially as the team who's going to have the leads early on, which, to be fair, after a couple misfortunate plays, they've been able to get. So really good here from the side of Team Hoarder to actually get this done and mitigate some of the pressure that is coming through from Team Quacker early on.
Great job from our observer to kind of show that right now the biggest benefactor of all these plays and kind of the early chaos has been Samikin. You can kind of see it reflected in his scoreline, but almost 1,000 gold over his opponent here. We need to be able to see, that's what we talked about during the draft, was can Samikin be unleashed through mid to try to move towards these side lanes and pick up some more kills. Samikin does not have flash, he doesn't even have the teleport to be making it into this play quite yet.
Gonna go straight here onto Levitate, who gets hit by the enchanted crystal arrow as well, but pretty good. The tenacity from the cleanse actually means that the arrow's CC does not last as long as it should have. Utilizes the killer instinct plus the flash to get out of that exchange, and they get out with the Drake as well. So despite that looking like a solid engage for Team Quacker, they walk away empty-handed.
And this is why you always have to play some of these games out. We're talking about, hey, for this red side team, you have winning lanes. Junglers should be able to dictate where they want to go. We saw the lane swap come in, and even with that, so much early game kind of shenanigans going on. 8 minutes in, we've got 10 kills here. Ollie's going to be by himself. He should be able to get out of this if he really needs to. But the fact of blue side getting the first dragon, getting themselves at least 2 of the grubs, so at the very least all they need to be able to do is grab 1 and then they prevent those Void Mites from spawning. I think this has been a very strong first set of minutes coming into the second game, and they've even been able to outplay in some certain circumstances, especially when we're talking about individuals like Hoarder on the dive or even Levitate and Dum Dum. So I'm really loving what we're getting from blue side. We were coming in thinking, okay, this draft is majorly advantaged in the early game for red side, but it's all about how you play it out, how creative you can be, what your strategies are, and I'm loving, loving, loving how much we're kind of getting from this team, despite some of the early hiccups, not only in this game, but I think throughout the entire Combine so far, especially for a player like Levitate, who has had some rougher games. I'm glad to see that he's not only sticking through it, but he's also showing a lot of tenacity throughout all of this.
That's the beauty of League of Legends. Things can happen. Narratives can be broken, and anything can really go down on the Rift. So, really good start here for Team Hoarder. Even in the last game, too, they had a couple of plays where it did not look advantageous for them, and they found some angles that maybe a couple people may not have seen, especially not the side of Team Quacker. So, showing that once again here. Enchanted Crystal Arrow going to be utilized, though, by Scary Jerry. It was Bio that tried to get in range for the cease and desist. Not going to be successful in doing that, and the jig is up. The play is known now for Team Hoarder. They're going to be able to bring down Ollie, bring down Samikin in the case that they continue this, once again absorbing a lot of that pressure.
I think this is okay. Samikin is really, really flexible with where he can be. He obviously already finished the Malignance very early on. We're pre-10 minutes with a completed item here, especially in mid lane. We saw this kind of reflected maybe in the World Series that was most recently played, but this Ari is in a great spot to be able to win this one out, especially with how potent this champion can be in this game. But we need to see them be able to execute, and Samikin has been someone that, while great on control mages, I think still lacks some of the killer instinct, and so I want to see from him, with this different kind of champion pool, what he's able to do throughout this Combine in the next coming days.
This would be, not playing Kaisa, but the killer instinct from Samikin. This would be a game where that would be very important. Now that you have this lead, you are in a position that you want to be in on this Ari. What can you do with this? Can you bring your team out of this early game slump that they might have to avoid here with the way that these teams are going to play out and stylistically interact with each other? Can you be the one to bring them out of this and pivot towards some times when you're stronger, like the scaling that Levitate has?
Okay.
We'll see what Samikin can do inside of this fight. Ixtal's impact, the Impale is going to be flashed away from by Scary Jerry, but now Samikin is in trouble. They're all going to pile onto the Ari. He has one more charge. Spirit Rush utilizes the flash as well. Charm will be able to buy him some time, but it is not enough because he will drop Scary Jerry, though, on the other side. Is going to be taken down. That's a huge 2-3 for Order. And in goes Aojun as well with the stolen Spirit Rush. Now the Cassante is going to fall. Team Quacker is going to take the victorious fight around the second trio of grubs.
We got to see it right there. As soon as Samikin is in the pit, you can just use this Vi ultimate and neutralize this Ari. Fantastic fight coming out from them. Aojun, Quacker, all of this top side making a big difference, and Kim down on this Renata. I mean, you can see how impactful the hostile takeover can be when we get into that position. It's going to be 4 grubs going over to our red side team, and despite all of that, Levitate still was able to pick up a little bit of gold during this, now finishing the static Shiv. Have to imagine coming into this Dragon, I'm looking at this team, and you still have to keep the pace of this game. Yes, there were a couple mistakes during that fight, but I really want to see them not only stop some of the aggression of this team, but now okay, no summoner spells on Scary Jerry and Aojun. This is something that we can try to utilize to pick up an objective for ourselves.
They also have a Malignance completed on Samikin, was completed in the previous fight. They have Static Shiv done for Levitate with that gold that they picked up, like you were mentioning. There's no first item completed here for Aojun or Scary Jerry. Bio now on the Sundered Sky completion. So there is item advantage in the immediate moment here for Team Hoarder. This is something they could definitely leverage as well, on top of the fact that there are minimal summoners. Only Flash on Bio. Quacker has the Ghost, but of course, no repositioning available. This is a fight that they could take right now if they want to go for it. They're kind of positioning themselves around it. We'll see how they play it out as it started.
We also, because of the lane swap, we haven't really been able to see Quacker versus Hoarder as an actual matchup. They've been really kind of avoiding each other, and I think rightfully so. If you are this Asante, really want to try to avoid this. Wonder if they try to make this engage. Remember, Scary Jerry having the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, they can always go for that snap engage. Vi as well. The ultimate's coming up.
Dum Dum is going to be CC'd up here. Hostile takeover as well. They're layering everything on top of him. Cease and desist too, but that one onto Levitate. They don't have the damage to take him out. They didn't utilize it onto the run. Scary Jerry's going to get hit by the Impale. Ollie swoops in to save the day. Levitate gets kill number 3. And that is exactly what they want in the counter punch.
Great job from them. Bio seeing if he can find something onto Levitate. He's going to get oh, there we go. I was wondering if he's going to get exposed by the wireframing from the sweepers. Samikin getting a little bit of damage, having to use the ult to trade with Aojun. This is how difficult this matchup can be, especially once this Silas picks up HP from the Proto Belt. He can go in for the out trades. He has so much more sustain thanks to just how his kit, the Kingslayer as well as the Abscond Abduct, very difficult to deal with. And a great job, I think, from this blue side. Not only are they able to be super reactive and be able to play against their opponents, but now they have 4 grubs. I think that once you're able to finally get back into these lanes, you get a little bit of push. This Kai'Sa is going to be really unleashed. I have to imagine maybe playing for this Herald, maybe something that they don't necessarily go for. Yes, they have Static Shiv completed for their AD carry, but Levitate has the Cull. He's going to be closer to finishing that second item than Scary Jerry, especially with how far ahead he is. Maybe they just try to wait, stall out for a second for this third Drake, and play on 2 item timings here on the Kai'Sa.
That definitely would not be a horrible play. They don't have to. They're not on a timer, right? There's no soul that's being threatened. There's no 6 grubs here for the side of Team Quacker. They're not losing the game and bleeding out all resources at a very rapid rapid pace. They have lots
Oh, they
of time to
cancel the
work
TP!
with. Samakin cancels the TP from Quacker. Now a TP here from the other side, but Samakin, you might have just been way too far forward, but look at that. The Spirit Rush able to pull him out of that situation. The abduct from Aljun is dodged away from. He's going to go into the bail, but there's no way to get that life back. And Quacker will fall here as well. They found their fight. They have found what they needed to push themselves to a winning position early, 15 minutes in.
And they are rallying around their AD carry. Levitate is picking up kill after kill after kill, and he is just making sure that he is always in the right spot for this fight and for this game right now. Blue side picking up more kills. They're able to stop them from being able to grab that, get more out of that play. It is just the Rift Herald going over the red side, and they're not even able to kill Samakin, which that right there is a big gut punch to this team, as they're unable to really crack open the map. Dragon spawning in 2 minutes. We'll see how much they're actually able to do with this. I think maybe try to just trade out after this objective. They're just chasing them out, see if they can get some more summoner spells.
And Pale onto Bio has to retreat there with the Vault Breaker. They're going to try and chase this one down with Scary Jerry slows, putting the auto attacks into Hoarder. That HP bar is dropping at a very slow pace. It's going to be a slow burn here. Pathmaker going to stop the CC flash away from the hostile takeover. Quacker joins the party, but a little bit too late. And they're able to get out of this exchange. We talked about, you know, despite having the draft that might not be in your favor, you got to play creatively. You got to be able to be comfortable in these positions where, you know, you have to play the game from an inherent disadvantage, and they did that. They're doing so well with it right now. I would even say from this point on, it's so difficult now from Team Quacker. I think the script has been flipped now. What can you guys do in the face of adversity now? Your picks aren't working out. You're having some troubles with coordination here. The plays that you're trying to go for just aren't working. How can you now bring yourselves back into this game? How do you prevent yourselves from just face planting here in the next couple of minutes?
Yeah, the lane swap, I think, doing a lot more harm than good for this team, as they weren't really able to accentuate some of the advantages. We saw a lot of plates early on going over to Scary Jerry and Gimdown, but with kills going over to Levitate, it really equalized a lot of the gold and experience that he was going to be able to gain. We have Dragon spawning in a minute. Big thing for me is after that play on top side, they did get Hoarder's flash, but now Quacker, he's going to have to really, really res up on HP. And what I want to see from Quacker in this next fight is how does he enter this from a weird or an uncouth angle? Just as when you are playing Udyr, you're expecting them to, if you're going to play front to back, then it's very obvious where the Udyr is. You can kind of really easily stop him from moving into your back line. But the minute that he gets onto Kaisa, Kaisa's almost forced to utilize the ultimate or use one of his summoner spells. It has to be careful here. Scary Jerry has the ultimate, he's going to let it rip.
Cleanse is good, though. The counterpunch is insane as well. Scary Jerry has to use Flash. That's Cleanse for Flash. I'm liking that if I am Team Order. So they're feeling pretty good heading into 10 seconds to go on this Infernal Drake. Kim Down going to lose that Celestial opposition. Might just lose the Flash as well. Impale committed. Samakin going crazy, uses the Spirit Rush. Or maybe didn't use the Spirit Rush. I can't quite tell. There's no charges left. That's still off of cooldown. So that is still available here for Samakin, but Jerry's going to be engaged on now. Easy Killer Instinct. Bio gets onto the ADC, but there's just no palm. Aljun can't join the play. Hoarder going to bring Quacker into the mix of things as well. Can they get onto him? No, they cannot. The Impale is going to miss. That is the hijacked Impale. Hoarder gets the kill onto Kim Down. Aljun is now hot on the retreat. Quacker as well following suit. All he finds, Bio with the Ixtal's Impact trying to continue this play, but they should just be able to back off and get their prize in that Infernal Drake.
Levitate having so much HP, I thought, okay, look, we made that play. The most important for me was the fact that they were able to stop Dum Dum from getting more with the ultimate, that handshake, stopping him, and so much damage coming in from Levitate and Samakin, being able to really thread the needle early on in that fight. I was really happy with the beginning of that trade. If it was only the fact that we traded Handshake and the flash from Scary Jerry for the Ixtal impact, for Dum Dum's quickness, maybe there was an angle for us to be able to contest on that Drake, but fighting under the turret, unfortunately, it does go to the side of this blue team. And it's getting scarier, Ferris. The Dragon as well now going over to them. They're picking up more and more kills. Levitate's getting closer to a third item here. We see Samakin as well with the Horizon Focus. And even steals it away from Bio. So just getting more and more gold here. We're getting into that spot where we need to see more creativity. We're not seeing, you know, we're seeing more clear-cut front to backs, and that is always going to advantage the team that is ahead and has a lot more resilient tanks. Skarner and Cassante are just going to be naturally tankier than Vi and this Udyr right now, especially when you look at their inventories. they have a lot of base stats. They have a lot of stuff in their kit that maybe gives them shielding. But in terms of what they're actually able to do, this Skarner and this Cassante are going to be just beefier boys standing in front of their front line. And that's the Ashe ult rip. So engage potential, very limited for this team. You have to be worried. They do a ton of damage with Skarner and with this Kaisa. They can rip open a Baron at any moment.
With all eyes on Scary Jerry, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow just feels too telegraphed for them. It's too easy to, even if you have to commit Spirit Rush, if you're Samikin, who's the target, you can get out of this one. Ollie can be able to tank this. We're talking about unique angles. It feels like desperation time for Team Quacker, because the straight up engage, you said it, front to back, it's not going to work. These looks that they're going for, it's just too easy. They're going to be able to, now that you don't have that ability from Scary Jerry, just waltz up to your mid tower, knock it down, take everything that they want. They can foresee them winning this game. They're thinking about the different scenarios. So you have to find the one here as Team Quacker that they did not anticipate. So what that actually is going to be, I mean, I definitely do not envy their position here. It's tough. Look at the items differences between Levitate and Scary Jerry. There's just no advantage anymore. It's so difficult to even just match the damage and get onto this Kaisa who's so slippery and can reposition, which has also been something they've had a hard time navigating. So really, I'm kind of out of answers for them. It's going to have to be something miraculous to be able to pull themselves back, especially around this Baron and all the vision that the side of Team Hoarder are sweeping away.
Thankfully for you, Ferris, and us, we don't have to come up with those answers.
That's right.
We are not playing on the Rift, so thankfully we're not in charge on that one. Coming in, though, I mean, one of the great things about Ashe is even if she were to fall a little bit behind, she obviously has that engage that we were talking about. Just even with the ultimate, it is a very low cooldown, even when you're playing regular AD Ashe, not like these weird support builds that are maximizing ability haste and stuff like Malignance and the sort. So at any moment, they could try to go for the snap. You also still have the Vi ultimate. You have Aljun, who, with this hijack, should be able to take away any meaningful ults if he really needs to, especially with a Rakan, especially with an Ahri. These are things that in a side lane, they're going to be more useful. They are a team with 4 grubs, but we haven't really seen them be able to play too much on side. Quacker constantly having to deal with the fact that Samikin's on his side of the map, and then when they go to rotate, Silas doesn't win the 1v1 right now, or at least Samikin is being really, really creative with how he's just kind of sitting in Fog of War, getting chip damage away, and pushing on the side lane. It's tearing apart the fact that this team cannot get to do anything. Let's see if we can try to find Samikin. Misses out on the charm.
Ooh, that's a good layering of CC. This could be the pick they need. Samikin gets caught out in the side lane. There is no Infernal Drake to leverage on the 5 versus 4, but this is what you have to be careful of if you are Team Hoarder, is making these critical mistakes like this. Good on Team Quacker as well to pounce on this, and they finally found the layering of CC they needed, the damage they had, the isolation to be able to get that kill into their pockets. So that's kind of the blueprint going forward, is can they replicate that is the question.
Again, that's just why Ashe is so OP. Like, one of the obviously she has great range. She's a great laner as well, but that ultimate, just being able to let it rip, is very, very strong. So this timer, it allows for Quacker to push on the bottom wave. As you can see, Dum Dum is just kind of circling around. There is no one near this position, and I wonder how much available space does this buy? Because now that the map was 4v5 for about 30 seconds, we saw that Aljun pushing the top wave. He recalls, goes back into the top wave to be able to push this out. They should be able to make a teleport play if they want. We've got Dragon spawning in 20 seconds. It's sole point here for the blue side, and obviously they would love to be able to pick up this Dragon, but most importantly, the longer that they're not able to start up a fight around this objective, the longer I think Aljun can just sit in a side lane, but they're just going to pull the trigger. They want to try to fight for this immediately. Ashe ultimate at the ready, hijack as well.
Let's see what they can do. This is their time. This is where they have to save their game. They got the pick onto Samikin earlier. Now they're sort of betting everything on their strength in the current moment to be able to pull off this win. But, of course, it's not going to go out lightly. There will
Quacker
be
just
a
got
contest
spotted
here. Quacker spotted on the flank. Samikin going to go address that as the Dragon is still getting hit now, down to 4k HP. Both junglers are in range of the smite. It could just be a smite fight, but right now Hoarder wants to start off this play.
Going for
it's
it.
going to be a smite fight in the end. Bio will be the one to get it. Let's watch how the fight plays out. He's going to be brought into the middle of so many members of Team Hoarder here with the all-out. Now the repositioning
Levitate
is good as well. The damage is insane. This Kaisa is unleashed. The double kill for Hoarder. They should be able to grab the Baron off of this as well. They got the Dragon, but they lost the fight.
Oh my god, I mean, Levitate was in such a hard spot. We saw him use his flash and his cleanse in that last fight, but repositions to the other side just to get away from Aljun, and they save it completely. Yes, they lost the dragon, like you were saying, winning 4 kills and grabbing themselves the Baron. I think a fantastic fight coming in from a lot of the big carries coming from this blue team.
It's really good for them. They don't really care about the Drake. Like, okay, nice, you guys got that. We're going to get this huge influx in gold. We're going to be able to knock down this Baron. This is the time here, I do believe. Yes, they have the scaling. They could wait a little longer, but this is where you put the nail in the coffin. Now you start to make plays. Scary Jerry doesn't have flash. Aljun doesn't have flash. So many tools were burned in that sort of Hail Mary play by Team Quacker. This is where you got to bury them. And with this Baron power play, it's going to be these next 3 minutes. We'll see how Team Hoarder plays it around the map. Can they knock down at least these tier 2s, get that gold into their system, then they can fight better around that soul point fight coming in 5 minutes. Can they crack the base? Can they utilize those super minions to get more around the map? That's going to be the question. It's actually just going to be the aggressors here in Aljun, who finds the Impale on Ollie. Maybe not your most priority target, but there's not a lot of people here to help out this Skarner. Dum Dum's going to be the one to use the quickness here in the front line. Now Levitate in the back side, while Hoarder on the other side is doing so much in the back line on this Cassante. This Kaisa is untouched. There's nothing for them to do. They tried to catch them off guard, but they were ready for it. And Team Hoarder is going to get everything they need. The Blast Cone is popped there from Hoarder to prevent the escape from Quacker, and the Void Seeker. Triple for Levitate as he levitates to an 11-0 KDA, and they're going to be able to crack the base as well.
Guys, it was just a metaphorical 15-game Kaisa. I did not think that this was actually going to be one of those games. Levitate putting up numbers on the board, which is what we wanted to see. And in this game, Blue side just doing a fantastic job of just continuously finding fights. It was Aljun who started that, but no one really in position. A similar kind of diagnosis that we had coming into that first game where, hey, we're finding good engages, but no one's around. This time around, I mean, the game basically is predicated on, can your first punch be a knockout on this red team? And it's just not being the case. They're behind at this point. It's 13,000 gold. Samikin now just being able to try to escape. Again, still Baron in their back pockets. Kaisa's here as well, and still has the stopwatch. I think this right here is such a big key as to why they're not able to find much. I mean, Ash is also still behind and not able to do that much damage. Okay, maybe they find Samikin, has flash.
Should be able to get out, has the Spirit Rush, has everything available. Okay, they get the ult out on a pretty low cooldown though. And you're right, Ulk, they can't get the kills in time before the cavalry arrives. And that cavalry, that's Levitate. 11-0 on this Kaisa. Zanya's Hourglass completed now. An extra tool to stay alive. There's been a couple fights where it's been really close for Levitate to actually drop. Fortunately, has been able to reposition with the Killer Instinct, but now with the added tool of the Stasis to keep themselves safe, that makes this Kaisa so hard to deal with, on top of the fact that if you can't get that first punch in, she's just going to run the fight, and that's exactly what might happen in this case as well. Pay attention to the Kaisa, though. That's going to be a huge hostile takeover to run through, but there's just simply no damage.
Not enough.
That Stasis. Bio is on the retreat, but the Killer Instinct will be the one that slays the Vi. They're bringing down the base. Let's see what else they can get if it's not just those two inhibitors. Scary Jerry's going to be the target.
Sammy?
Samikin, they take him down. That's the smooth moves that you needed from this Ahri, and this one, that might just be wraps here, Ulk Battery.
Oh! They find him. They take down Kim down. That's going to be the ace. And we're heading straight into Game 3 after this one. Fantastic stuff from our blue team, who has not only taken 2 wins on the day, but really showed some resiliency. I mean, that first game, a dominant early game, a little bit of a slippery mid game, but they were able to kind of claw it back after a lot of woes from the bottom lane. And I think Levitate having one of his best games here in the Combine on this Kaisa.
Absolutely. I mean, statement performance. You almost predicted the 15-kill game. I know you said
I was
it.
so close.
Like, hey,
you need to see a big Kaisa game, and he did it. He really did perform, and I'm really proud of him, as he's been someone who I think himself has been a little bit down on his performance here in the Combine the last 2 weeks. So to have a statement game like this, and against one of the 80 carries that historically I think he's had a little bit of trouble against over in the NACL, I'm loving what we're getting from Levitate today so far. Obviously game 1 a little bit rougher, but this time around really, really shaping up in a great game.
Absolutely, and playing against some pretty tough competition as well. We know Scary Jerry to be a fantastic marksman player here, NACL winner with Dragonsteel. So also stepping up against quite the tough competition as well for Levitate is absolutely massive. But we have to give kudos as well to the rest of Team Horta there, everyone doing their part. Samikin getting involved there in the early game, like we said he had to. Ollie absorbing a lot of pressure. Horta, they were with the lane swaps, able to avoid that tough Woodier matchup. So back to the drawing board once again for the side of Team Quacker. They fall short, and it really just is that little bit of coordination there. Some of these fights, they had the looks, they just weren't able to fully execute. A couple dives were botched. These types of things might be what they are going to talk about with their coaches in the comms. But while we give them some review time there with their coaches ahead of Game 3, we will cut to a very quick intermission. And when we return, we'll see the conclusion of the meeting between these two teams. And if Team Quacker can be able to pick up a win in the end of this 3 block. We'll see you soon.
so hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the follow, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of a world that we defy. A soul ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last light. Hearing voices from afar, join the madness when the curtain falls. Risk it all, hold nothing back. Seize the day, we must attack. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of a world that we defy. A solar ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight 強く強く輝いて消えた流れ星ほら命が燃える何かに怯え走り続けたその虚しさのしじまに何を見て何を探してきた自分の声がただ響く幾千万の星の中で惹かれて出会った守り手たちよ回る回る時の輪の中で自分の弱さ強さの先に同じ空誰かが見上げてるそう信じて消されない虹の奇跡が届けと冷たい指で涙拭ったあの日にはもう帰れない水平線目指して飛び立つ自分の願いを抱いて幾千万の星に呼ばれ交わりすれ違う守り手たちよ回る回る時に抗って未来を願ってもいいですか儚さから目をそらしたぐり寄せる道の兆しの向こうかける希望あなたの光あなたの命いたずらに知らさないようにそっとくれた記憶胸に熱く灯し約束の地へもう繰り返らずに恋願う歌は空高く世界に銀河に広がってくそれがいつか風となり消えて新たな日が始まる越えてゆく時の輪の中で確かに刻みつけたきらめき同じ空誰かが見上げてる信じたから
Back into draft for the final game between Team Quacker and Team Hoarder here at day 12 of the Cyto.gg Path to Pro Combine. I'm Ferris. That is Alk Battery. We've had 2 games go over to Team Hoarder. Some of them have been pretty close, and some of them haven't, or one of them hasn't really been close, as we're actually now going to see the Skarner ban come through, Alk, which I'm pretty sure you are going to be very happy about that, considering we thought that this would just be the staple unique pick for these teams on blue side.
I mean, we saw it in the first game as well. They decided that Corki first pick was going to be something that they explored. Picking the Aurora and the Nocturne. I love this combo. I wonder if we're going to be seeing immediately the snap away of the Oriana as well. Just being able to trap them, and it makes it so difficult, especially since you can't see. It makes it difficult, especially if you're not next to your players just in person. So going to be interesting to kind of look at what their response is. Again, Oriana, I think, still a strong takeaway, but Aojun on the mages has kind of not looked the same. I've really liked Aojun when he's on these playmakers, on champions that have a little bit more mobility. The Smolder in particular has been a champion that he's stood out before in the past. And we're getting the Ashe Renata again. I think perfectly fine into the Aurora and Nocturne, but again, I'm kind of looking at that mid pool right now, and some of the special picks that are still available, considering Red Side has used it on picking up this Aurora.
They have, yes, that's right. Aurora is the unique champion. They still have a unique champion on the other side there for Team Quacker. A lot of full forward engagement here. Nocturne Paranoia between worlds to lock down targets. Long range from Scary Jerry can be mitigated that way. The blind into the mid lane, or maybe they think this Aurora will go into the mid lane and not actually flex, is going to be the Sylas once again for Aojun. Samikin kind of had his way against the Sylas in the first matchup that they had, so we'll see if it gets a little bit better for them this time. They're actually just going with the exact same draft thus far. Kaisa to complement the dive here, I think is going to be nice. They're probably going to utilize their lane swaps once again to be able to get out of this Ashe Renata lane, try and work their way around the map, and then again, those mid-game fights, if they can get Levitate to another couple, decade or dozens of kills, then that's definitely going to be what they want to see here.
So for anybody who might just be joining us and they're saying, okay, like, well, what's going on with this draft? The champions in the middle, those are the available champions. Either team is allowed 1 special pick every single game that is outside of these champions for either their role or just in general for this pool. And the bans, you're only allowed 1 ban. It can be in the first phase or in the second phase. Both teams this time around electing for that first phase. I wonder if as we get further into the Combine, second phase bans start to become more and more impactful. And now we get to see what their last pick is, potentially what they're going to be sending in here for Quacker, someone who has, I think, historically had a really fun champion pool and what they want to be able to pull out. This time around, not really going for anything special. They used a lot of their draft, or at least being on blue side, to be able to grab that first pick, and instead, they don't seem like they're too worried about any kind of new champion. So you get to see where this Aurora is going. And Sylas, I think, getting a lot of value this game. Again, has the Nocturne ultimate, can also steal the Aurora or the Rakan ultimate. So a lot of choices there. And Hoarder taking the Cassante into the Jax, which is a champion that not going to be able to do much in the later stages of the game, but has a lot more playmaking very early on. So I'm wondering to see what we get from our blue side team here, as they're a team that still hasn't been able to win a game. They've had some close options here, but I don't know. I'm a little scared.
Yeah, they've had some issues with their team fighting and things not exactly going the way that you might draw it up there in the draft. There's some wrenches that are thrown into the mix here. Again, they have a team. Scary Jerry has a lot of playmaking potential here. Bio as well on the Sejuani had a pretty good performance there in the game 1, despite the hurdles that were thrown his way with all the invades and losing the camps. So there is definitely potential here for Team Quacker. It's going to come down again to that execution. Can they find the angles that they want? Can they avoid getting into the chaos that might erupt here from the really, chaotic drafts that the side of Team Hoarder have gone for? They can jump all over the place. Quickness between worlds, out of nowhere, snap engages with Paranoia. Side lanes are definitely going to get dangerous. The Cassante as well, diving the back line. Can they keep a controlled game? Can they play to their advantages? Can they avoid getting caught out there in the team and utilize things like hostile takeover to disengage fights and get back things that they need for themselves play into the Jack scaling. That's what I'm looking here for Team Quacker. And for the other side, I mean, Team Hoarder's done a pretty good job there working together as a squad. Levitate's been playing like an absolute beast. So yeah, that's kind of just be the things that I'm looking for both of these teams.
I love this. I think Red Side has some really strong qualities as to what they're able to do. I really love this Aurora Nocturne pairing. And what I want to see from these two teams, and more specifically, I think for this Red Side team, is how they play around Vision. Obviously, Nocturne turns off the lights and it makes it so that Vision is kind of useless at that point for the enemy team for a few seconds. But if they can hide where Rakan is, if they can stop them from being able to see maybe where the Renata ult is going to be able to go, or the Silas necessarily, I think that'll be a really key indicator as to how they're able to win this game. And you look at the blue team, they are going to want to be able to be played in a way where they're very short ranged. Jax can be coming in off a side lane, so I want to kind of see if Vision is going to be more important, or if we're just going to kind of get similar to what we've been getting, I think, to all three of these games, which is a really all-out brawl, and then come 15, 25 minutes, you need to be able to fight on the objective and potentially even win the game.
It would be nice to see, to close out this 3 block of games, we talk about growth and improvement of players, to have a game where both teams really feel like they're given their best punches here. They're adapting off the mistakes they made inside of the previous 2 games. So we're hoping for a good showing between both of these guys. Maybe Team Quacker actually is able to get a win here up against their opponents in this one, because there is a lot riding on this. Your spot in LA, potentially 5 players still yet to be selected here to join the other 5 who already have their spot sealed. So there are stakes. While winning, losing might not necessarily matter, it comes down to your individual performance. It's games like these where you really need to show what you're all about. So we're going to cut to a break, and when we come back, game number 3 is on the horizon. We'll see how the trilogy of these 2 teams concludes. Don't go anywhere.
Seen the
to hold our heads up high and beat the drums to what we love. Risk the fall, oh, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of a world that we defy. A solar ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last line.
Back into it. Game number 3 of the first 3 block of week number 3 of the Cyber.GG Path2Pro Combine. It's day number 12, and we're going to see how it all concludes here between these two teams, with Team Hoarder getting the better of Team Quacker in the first 2 times. Now we have some pretty spicy drafts, specifically red side, and we'll see how well they actually pilot this. And if Team Quacker can weather the storm here and play to their game to pick up themselves a W here in the last time.
What I've loved so far out of all 3 of these games, despite the results, they are just utilizing the fact that their bot lane has so much priority early on to just get early vision. They're also getting a ward right there, as you see in topside, just to see if they can spot out the swap if it is going to be coming through. Again, a situation where you really want to make sure that you can, if you are on this blue side, that you're getting the lane matchups that you want, that you're having the Jax into Cassante, that you're having the Ashe versus the Renata, and they'll be able to spot them out here. This ward right here will also see where this Ashe Renata are going to be going, so they're going to be going onto the bottom side of the map. They'll see Rakan cross through mid here, and this is where Renata Glass needs to be careful and kind of showing where on vision they want to be able to go here. They did spot out that bottom lane ward, and they'll clear it out now.
I'm going to do so. The lane phase is going to begin. Both junglers starting on the same side of the map. The supports, or actually it's going to be Quacker that's going to be sharing the lane here with Aojun. Dum Dum is here sharing that XP with Samakin. And in the top side, I mean, okay, this is going to be the swap that we're going for here. The stacked wave is likely going to come through from both Scary Jerry and Kim Down. And dives, they have been the bane of these teams here. Are we going to see that actually come through and TP start to come through and people start trying to collect XP on these side lanes? Can we get them to actually find some meaningful advantages in the next couple minutes here as we see the waves start to be stacked up and crashed is going to be my question.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing a little bit of this here, kind of just like, okay, look, usually Sylas into Aurora. Aurora can be very susceptible in the laning phase, although she does have really strong base numbers. I will say when you are playing against Sylas really takes a pretty abusive trade patterns now, with Electrocute kind of being what we're seeing from players like Aojun a lot. A lot of the players really trying to dominate in the laning phase, and I love what Levitated Hoarder did early on. They just let this wave stack. They didn't hard push it, so now on this third wave they can try to look for this. There's a TP available here for Aojun if he looks for it, but it's all of the members of this red side team trying to make this play happen.
Kim Down is here on the Renata. They might just back off. They don't want to do it. They said, hey, this has not gone well for us in the past, so we're going to opt out of this one. TP going to be committed now immediately from Hoarder to collect this bot side XP. And so they miss out on an opportunity there. Scary Jerry takes a tower shot to be able to put themselves in a good position here early on.
Yeah, not only that, but also in the jungle. I mean, Sejuani's immediately getting so much out of this, getting not only the 2 bot side camps here as he takes the blue and the Gromp, but these are still plates that are going over to Scary Jerry. It's that teleport investment from the side of Hoarder, and with Sejuani sitting on this side of the map, it's so difficult for Ollie. He's now like, okay, well now I'm out of all of these quadrants. I'm like, okay, I took some of my topside camps. I was able to steal maybe a Gromp earlier, but I mean, as is, cuts him away from this lane, and I think the biggest benefactor, again, is Scary Jerry, who will have the small individual lead. Maybe they make this play onto Hoarder and force out his flash.
They're going to try and do that. The CC's going to land Pathmaker forward. They're actually going to jump here onto Aojun, who has to use a flash of his own. Hoarder sitting at a small amount of HP, but there's no one hitting onto him just yet. The first blood is going to go over to Samikin on the Aurora. They make this play happen. The flash away from Scary Jerry might be huge here. The abduct to bring him back in, but the shield from Hoarder's too big. Double kill now for Samikin, trying to finish off Ollie is Scary Jerry. The 1v1 begins now between the Ashe and the Aurora. I think the DPS is going to be good enough for the Ashe, the barrier as well. And that should just be the kill picked up here, but Samikin flashes away. Barrier utilized now from Scary Jerry. It's as close as it gets, but the triple for the Ashe, that's an even bigger lead now to add to this game.
Finally, we get to see Scary Jerry pop off in the early game. Every single time that in these early games, it has been either a failed dive or him and Kim Down just getting individual leads for themselves thanks to the lane swap. This time around, it turns into 3 kills. It is 5 minutes, and Scary Jerry on this Ashe already has completed Berserkers and the Retrix. Is going to have a ton of movement speed, is going to be very difficult to deal with, especially if they're going to continue with these lane swaps. I mean, it looks like they're just going to move them over, look to try to potentially fight on the upcoming grubs, but there are a lot of missing summoner spells, particularly Ollie, 3 level 6, no flash on this Nocturne. I think at this point, all you're trying to do is get some more gold, get some experience under your belt, and try to avoid Sejuani wherever you can until you're a little bit stronger and either you have your ultimate or that summoner spell comes back up.
Definitely the blueprint for the Nocturne. You pre-6, you don't really like to mess around here and put yourself behind, because if you're not on par with anyone else, when you hit that level 6 spike and you don't get the value that you want, it's definitely going to hurt you if you're Ollie. So yeah, walking down into the bot side camps here from Bio, there's no wards to really spot this out just yet, although a blue ward just did go down onto the side of the Raptors. They they see it with the Hawk shot. But yeah, they're just going to concede this. I think you're absolutely right, Alk Battery. They are not willing to deal with the 3-0 Scary Jerry Ashe, especially those summoners to close the gap and all that move speed too. That is going to be definitely not an Ashe you want to interact with this early on.
So right now, what we're going to be seeing coming out from red side is not only protecting our Kaisa, but making sure that Dum Dum or Samikin anyway can grab his ultimate. Quacker by himself does have the flash and still has Counter-Strike available to him, so can't just walk out of this. It's going to take a lot, but also has the teleport still available to him. So I think while a little scary there, is able to just walk it out, all things considered. And Samikin now having level 6 is really good just to not only potentially look for a fight, but it now also offers some level of protection, as all he knows, my mid laner is going to be self-sufficient and could potentially even make a roam here, as we see Dum Dum and the rest of the team start to, eventually lean over to the top side of this map.
Protecting Hoarder from a dive. They know the power point of the team for Team Quacker right now is that Ashe. Slowly but surely, Ollie is bringing down this dragon. And one of the big benefactors of that play, at least from the side of Team Hoarder, we know Scary Jerry got the triple, but it was Samikin to get 2 kills. So now with Between Worlds unlocked, that is going to be a huge tool. Can be able to maybe find a shutdown onto Scary Jerry in a fight. Maybe it will come in the next couple of minutes here as the Aurora gets a little bit stronger, working towards that first item. So probably going to be that Malignance. So pay attention to Samikin as maybe the saving grace here in the early going for the side of Team Hoarder, as they have that good brunt of gold from that previous play.
No flash in mids does mean that Bio, hitting level 6 soon, has a play to look for potentially as he finishes up some of these camps. Heads level 6 now, and I wonder, do they try to just do this? So Quacker maybe trying to just force out the flash or a cleanse coming out from Levitate, but he has a lot of options coming in from the jungle if you are on this blue side. So I want to see if maybe he tries to look for a play. It would set up for potentially opening up your map and then being able to shift over some of that pressure as we get closer to the second set of grubs spawning here. 6 grubs for this blue side team would be amazing, especially we've already been talking about someone like Scary Jerry who's just hammering away at these turrets. Ollie getting closer and closer to that level 6 mark, but he's going to probably need another 3 camps here. Finishing off on the Krugs here. Okay, he hits the level 6 now, so I was wondering maybe if he got enough from some of the other camps that had gotten stolen or the individual lanes, so seems like he stabbed some minions at some point to be able to hit level 6 here. So can make a play as we kind of get these waves in, but it's really hard when your waves are under your turret. This Nocturne, I think, for where the state of the game is going to be more reactive. Unless we get to, again, playing around these grubs, playing around these dragons. Dragon, I think, not really an objective since it isn't 3.5 minutes, but if there is a dive underneath their turret for the red side, you have to imagine Nocturne is going to be there, and so getting vision in enemy jungle is going to be so strong.
That threat will always be in the back of the mind of Team Quacker is, where is this Nocturne? Nocturne could join this play. I'm stepping too far forward. Scary Jerry wants to apply as much pressure as possible in these side lanes, but you always have to keep in mind that that Nocturne could be right there to find you. Bio is here now to make a play. Levitate's going to use the cleanse to get away from the permafrost. Should be able to walk this one out. As all the meanwhile, Samikin in the mid lane continuing to find that pressure as Quacker goes in, counter-strike, just going for a little bit of trading. Jungler's trying to get involved around here, but dude, Porter is just suffering in this 2 versus 1.
You're playing Cassante, I don't care. I don't care if you're suffering. You are gonna have to just be a good top laner, and you know, you just gotta have to understand this is how the game is played. It's really sad for top laners, but top laners have, I mean, really, the only prevalence that top laners had for most of this year in terms of the meta is the fact that grubs got added, so it's like, okay, you actually do have to play for lane, and you can't just be a scaling degenerate. But even then, now with the re-adaptation or re-addition of stuff like lane swaps now, top laners really need to be very smart about which lanes, which waves they're allowed to take. I love that we got to see Quacker there talking about kind of leaping forward. He knows that his jungler's in the wings. He's allowed to play aggressive, get a little bit more chip damage, and kind of make sure that he's getting gold and experience for himself. So now all this focus on the top side.
Crystal Arrow, Scary Jerry, they're going in onto Hoarder. Quacker's here as well, has to use the flash. Pathmaker buys some space. Quacker's going to flash forward with the counter-strike. The Grandmaster at arms as well gives him the damage for the kill. And that is just going to be massive. On the other side, they're going to try for the grubs here. And going to see if they're going to be able to get it, because Bio is in the area.
Bio's going to jump over this.
Blast Cone in. He's going to go for the smite. He gets it. They're going to use the quickness to try and catch him here. Glacial Prism will lock up Levitate, but there's a good amount of damage coming through. They might just be able to refight this, but they might not even care. They got the 4 grubs. They got the Void Mites. That's exactly what they needed. And they got out unscathed there. A couple summoner spells. All the meanwhile, Quacker's pushing on the top side. That's pretty good for them.
Wow. Bio with the DoorDash. He just DoorDashed his team some grubs.
He did.
That's like right up. That's a whole turret as well at 11 minutes. Scary Jerry and Quacker just putting on a lot of pressure, eventually finishing it off for his top laner. Good job from the side of Bio. I mean, he does invest his flash, which means this upcoming dragon is going to be a lot tougher to try to contest, but getting the Void Mites is enough, and they're still trying to pressure. You can kind of see now that they're going to redeploy onto the rest of the map. Scary Jerry, the only person still left after his team reset. They can take control of mid, move this, and move into the enemy jungle, where they're going to start to put down more and more wards. And Bio, once this ultimate is back up, maybe there's another angle for them to try to look, but as is, you're kind of just waiting, and really for your side lanes, you're letting them catch the waves first, and they're going to be probably not first to this objective, but they're going to be walking in after it's already started and looking to push them off or chase them after the dragon has gone down.
And it's Levitate without Cleanse for the next little bit. Should have it for this dragon. They're setting up the vision around it. They want it. They already got the first couple. The fact that they lost the Void Mites puts a little bit of priority, extra priority onto these dragons, so you can have something going for you in the neutral objective department. The question is, though, with the lead that Scary Jerry has the completed Kraken Slayer completed item for Levitate as well, can they actually afford to get this? And you see the TPs available here for Quacker as well. They have permanent mid-prio. It's going to be tough for them to get into this one and actually get something done here if they want it. They're still posturing around here, but I think the setup is just so good from the side of Team Quacker.
That one ward that's kind of sitting at the top right next to the river entrance next to blue is so amazing. It didn't get spotted by the earlier Scryer bloom plant, so they didn't see this. They got immediate vision as to where Ollie was this entire time, and something you noted, no teleport here for Hoarder means that at any moment it can just become a 5v4 play, and that mid push is so deadly, and especially with having the Ashe ultimate just like this, you can force them out of mid at any moment. And we've been talking about this throughout the entire Combine, but it just goes without, without saying, when you have the Void Mites on your team, it fundamentally does change how the map is played. Because at a certain moment, Jax, especially, can be such a potent side laner. You also have Sylas, who is able to be very difficult to deal with in a side lane. And now with the Void Mites, you always have to match where the opponents are. You are not allowed to just give up a structure, because they will very easily tear down all of this standing gold coming in. And something we talked about from draft was even how important vision was going to be. Dum Dum and Ollie needed to make sure that they're not only getting proactive vision, but that they're stopping their opponents from seeing them, because you do not want Aojun to be able to steal an important ultimate like the Rakan, like we just saw, and it just takes away so many of the tools that Red Side really want to play with as they come into a fight.
So for the side of Team Quacker, they want to play a really good game of choking their opponent away from resources and just give that slow bleed, slow burn. Let's take objectives slow. Let's take the fights when they try and contest. Let's keep good vision around. Let's try and find the Nocturne. Where is he? Is Cassante flanking our AD carry? That's exactly what they're doing here. What is Ollie going to do? He has to flash away. That is terrible for the Nocturne. They're just going to go right on forward. They're forcing them right out of here. Aojun is a little bit caught out of position, going to take a couple bits of damage. As Paranoia is being channeled. Between Worlds is now used. Nocturne's already low to begin with, but here goes the hostile takeover. It's massive. Scary Jerry's untouched as well. Pay attention to the Ash in the backline doing all the damage possible here for Team Quacker. Hoarder jumps back in to try and kill Aojun. Is not going to be successful. The Antofo strike will miss. The Abduct will get the kill for Aojun as well. 3-4-0 plus the Herald on the menu for them. Team Quacker look in a good position to strike back in Game 3.
Something that has been punished in the last games just because of the gold deficits and typically some of the advantages. Samikin's going to be going down here. There we go. Quacker finds that 1v1, but I love how aggressive Scary Jerry has been positioning in these last couple games. Despite some of the losses, I think he has been so aggressive with his pathing, and we just saw in that fight, he immediately knows, okay, look, Cassante, I don't need to worry about him. I want to put damage onto the damage dealers. This backline needs to be taken down, and he just moves forward into Samikin, into Levitate, trusting not only that he has his team behind him, but he still has both of his summoner spells. I love how he's been playing some of these team fights, and right there we got to see him, that Ash dealing so much damage, and Ollie with this Nocturnal, that's the first Nocturnal that we got in this game, and it has not been super effective so far. We got to see just how great this blue side can be when you're all stuck together, and we didn't even get to really see it paired up with the Aurora. We got some parts of it, but no one really important was stuck in the Between Worlds. So now with that, they were able to grab these topside objectives. Now they have the 4 Grubs and the Rift Herald. They can take this, open up the mid turret or whatever outer turret they still want. I love where blue side is right now in this game.
I definitely believe that, you know, Nocturne without the Orianna, it is one of those picks, and it gets wide criticism across the community, especially right now with its rise in the meta. It's hard to pull off this champion if you don't have that just cut and dry Paranoia Shockwave combination. You have to utilize, you have to get more easier setup for yourself. It's not as easy to pull this off. You're kind of seeing this with Ollie. There's no value that's really been gotten from this Nocturne. They got the Between Worlds, but it's just not so easy. And everything is being taken here in this game. They're going to knock down the tier 1 is Team Quacker. They're just going to charge this Rift Herald into the wall, make sure that they don't get caught out.
Guys.
And
we've had 12 days of this Combine to practice the
I think that was intentional, though. I think that was intentional, wasn't it?
Try not to die when you get bombed out.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Poppy. You know, players are immune to criticism. That's okay. That's okay. We're okay. Aljun's just using the ult. It's probably gonna just tick away. Have a little bit of fun with the Rift Herald. I'm okay with that. Again, with 4 Grubs, I do again prioritize how much damage you can get on structures, but turns out living might be a little bit more important than necessarily getting turret damage. 35 seconds now before this dragon spawns. Immediately, look who's first onto the map. Scary Jerry and Kim down. They get control of this mid wave. Need to be a little bit careful when you are separated. If they really wanted to go for it, maybe they could try to fly in with Ollie and Levitate, but they're just getting pushed off by Kim down, just by himself. They don't know where the rest of the team is right now, so they're getting pushed away. Levitate has to use the cleanse immediately, but it's all about that mid priority. Push the wave mid, catch it really, really high, and then force the opponents to have to deal with this while you're taking the objective.
Dum Dum is here looking for Quacker. Found him, but not in time. Grand entrance. The recall comes through, and the Ocean Drake is alive, so this is going to be Drake number 2 acquired. And on the other side, Scary Jerry doesn't even care about clearing that Drake away. He just wants to find what they're trying to get on the other side of the map. They're saying, we know that you guys can't contest this Drake. You have to try something else. You're going to try and take away our camps. We're going to contest you right there. We're not going to let our tier 1 go down in the top side. Again, they're just preventing any play to happen here. Side lanes are going well for them. Quacker can heat check here in the 2 versus 1. There's nothing that Dum Dum can really do about this. There's no play to be had. So they're playing the map super well, super controlled. They're not delving into that chaos like you and I were talking about in the draft here. Any of the crazy skirmish potential that is available for Team Voters is mitigated. Samikin's running right into a handshake, and it's a handshake of death. Can't even hop in between worlds, and finally Bio knocks down that Drake.
Well, now with those grubs, they've even got the dragon on the opposite side of the map. Jax is going to be a huge terror throughout this game. And Scary Jerry just playing this Ashe so well, 3 games almost now, where he's able to use the Hawkshot to be able to gain vision, one of the many strengths of this champion. I cannot wait until they nerf this champion out of the game. We were talking about this before we started the show today, but Ashe has been so prevalent for so many years now, especially now that they've kind of nerfed a lot of the crit itemization and just how strong her base kit, whether it was her in support or now here back in the marksman position where she belongs. You get to see how strong it is in the hands of a great player like Scary Jerry, who throughout this Combine, I think a lot of the intangibles, I think coming into this, a lot of people thought Scary Jerry was going to be top 2 AD carries playing here in the Combine. And so far, mechanically speaking, he's been really living up to that. While the win rate, not as important, he hasn't really been able to win as many games. I think the great thing about Scary Jerry being able to sit in on so many of the reviews is how vocal he is, not only in leading draft, in review. He's been one of the best players at being able to kind of, I think, push his team to do a little bit better. And I think that just comes from his year so far at Dragonsteel all year long, being really, really fantastic and being kind of the front runners for North America.
We're going to see Hijacked all out come through from Aljun, but here's the Paranoia. Now it's going to go down onto the Silas. He's going to flash away to try and buy himself some space. The hostile takeover, though, on the flank from Kim Down was so pivotal for this fight. Now Quacker going to be brought over the wall. He's going to try and find the stun onto Levitate, but didn't quite time the Counter-Strike good enough. The peel from the quickness is going to be solid here from Dum Dum. Quacker not quite going to fall, going to go into the Counter-Strike, playing so aggressive despite being so low. Dum Dum forward is not going to get much here with the grand entrance. Samikin is on the flank, has flash available to escape from this, but Scary Jerry is looking about as scary as it gets. Those arrows are
glide on him, Jerry!
Wall, let him know, bro.
Let's go!
This Combine, that's what we're talking about. That's an NACL champ right there, and he is showing everyone what's up in this opening blocks of week 3.
Recall, guys. It's okay. Just. Oh! He dodges.
Oh my
God! Can he get out?
Sentry.
That's the W.
This is so crazy.
Let's
That's
go!
so crazy. What a play.
Scary Jerry puts the hands on this red team. And Samikin, he's trying to find some whatever plays he can, but him and Bio, Aljun's going to come in over top. Does he find the 1v1? It's between the worlds. Now it's a stolen between worlds, so we're really in between the two of those. Just a fantastic fight all the way around coming in from our blue team, and the aggressive positioning from Scary Jerry that we talked about earlier coming true yet again. He plays in the face of his opponents, trusting his team, trusting that he's playing at max range, and he just goes all over this red team. 6,000, 7,000 gold here for our blue team. And Dum Dum getting caught right before the Baron.
Can't even move. That's the biggest counter to Rakan right there is infinite CC. They lock him down. Hulk, I don't think there's any real way into this Baron pit other than a, Hail Mary Paranoia to try and steal it away. This is just going to be taken. What a clinical game thus far here from Team Quacker, and especially Scary Jerry. It's been so good, so controlled. They're primed. They're ready to go to take this one away.
I was going to say, game 2, our first 2 games have been pretty messy, all things considered. We had a lot of games with some pretty high kill counts, and a lot of games where we saw failed dives, but overall, this game has been a lot cleaner, and we got to see what I think this blue team has been trying to execute 3 games in a row, where they had the lane swaps, Scary Jerry was in a position to try to win, and then the rest of the map didn't fall apart. I think a big part of that was the fact that we got to see much better performances from players like Aljun and Quacker in this game. Individually, they weren't getting dove as much, they didn't have as many resources denied from them. Now with Baron, I mean, this kind of feels like, when are we going to actually have that play happen? We haven't seen Samikin and Ollie really link up for those ultimate combinations. Levitate is now available, and they're just going to let the inhibitors down. This is really, really strong, and I love the kind of cleanliness that we're getting from our blue side here, just taking the objectives, immediately recalling and getting set up for our next play 40 seconds before the dragon spawns. And it's not an Ocean Soul that's going to be really important here, but it's more so the overhead threat of, hey, if you don't win the game in the next 5 minutes, there's going to be an Ocean Soul you're going to have to deal with. So how are you going to fight us? We have Baron, so we're always going to have priority in all of our lanes.
They just feel calm and collected. They're not worrying about going too far up and, having people try different crazy plays in the side lane, getting caught out. They're playing as a team. There's no opportunities that they're presenting to the other side to really get back in it. It feels like there's just no hope. They're choking the hope out of Team Hoarder here. Now they're moving up down the next side lane. Systematically bring down these towers. Walk up, siege the base, go back, spend your gold. What do we got next? Who are the numbers? We got the ADC over in top lane right now for Team Hoarder, so we can just go for broke here. Down in the bot side, that's exactly what they're going to do. Quacker's sitting here 1v3 like, you guys can't jump on me. You can't do nothing to me. I am going to sit here while my team takes the base. They might just walk back down to get the Drake. They look in firm control here. Their posturing is the side of Team Hoarder to try and contest something. They're going to pop the paranoia. Samikin still is between.
There it is!
Going to use it now. They're going to jump in and try and get onto Scary Jerry. That's going to be a killer instinct, which is huge. Into the bailout he goes, and that's a 1,000 gold shutdown now over to Ollie. This could be their hero play to make this thing happen. After all of that, we might have just cast or cursed at them. This is the play they needed. Kim down, and Quacker are the only ones alive. He's got to do his very best BLG bin impression here on this Jax to make things happen. Into the stasis he goes. Hoarder is going to be still alive. Into the bailout, he will not have the damage to find himself his life again. Huge ace for Team Hoarder to hold the game.
There it is. We got to see Samikin and Ollie finally make this combo work with the Nocturne Aurora. And that'll be the Dragon here coming in for this red side. A lot of great kills, especially we talked about the shutdown from Scary Jerry, but more importantly, they're going to have some objective bounties that they'll be able to take as this Dragon is going to be here. Samikin and Hoarder, I think you just have to drop these waves and play for it, but they're not going to even try to contest. I mean, hey, we have Hextech portals. Sejuani's going to get here in time. This might not even be an objective bounty given over to them. It's just going to be a bit of respite as they wait. They're saying, okay, look, Dragon, the Soul's not going to be a real potential. Let's just wait. We have the Baron that we could potentially play for in the future. Oh man, big item completions now coming in for this red team as they've gotten a bit of an injection after that amazing team fight.
Absolutely. Ollie got 1,000 gold now. So that is absolutely huge for them. It's not the Soul critically for this Dragon take. So that's probably part of the reason why they said probably not great to flip our chances here. I like when you pointed out, Alk, about the Hextech portals. A lot of teams forget that those exist in their games, and they get shocked when the team shows up a lot earlier than they expected to kind of ruin their day when they thought they had a free objective. So they're paying attention to that aspect of the game as Alju is kind of heat checking here in the mid lane. This is going to be part number 2. Can they win a second fight in a row? That is going to be the question. Hoarder has to flash away, but there's too much crowd control for him to handle, and he will drop. That's a great enchanted crystal arrow from Scary Jerry to lock down Samikin on the Aurora. Flashing forward is Quacker. There's already 2 down here. This might just be the end of the game. After heroics in the last team fight, their hope might have just been ripped out from their grasp, as now the siege will continue onto the Nexus towers. A defense has to be mounted here for Team Hoarder. They're teleporting in their Silas. They're jumping onto Ollie, who has to flash away. The first Nexus tower will drop. The wave is getting very thin, but they still have some Void Mites to siege the base. Sometimes going to go in with the Grand Entrance. Aljun into stasis as well. Quacker is going to use the stasis to buy some time for his team to knock down the second Nexus tower, but is going to be the Sejuani that is very low. 3 versus 5. Look at Levitate. They can do it. They can get so close to winning this one out, but the dive is good here. The Kaisa gets away. They need to hit onto the Nexus, and it is going to be good. After such a long team fight, Team Quacker will prevail.
There it is, 4 grubs and a massive team fight. Levitate recalls right as that fight starts, so he's not able to join. He's not there with their team. And that was just such a great game coming in from our blue side. I'm so glad that we got to see a player like Scary Jerry really step up, and the entire team kind of rallying behind that. Him as well as Quacker doing a fantastic job in this one. I'm really glad we got to see some lane swaps coming in from our team and how they were operating it. I think that has been one of the biggest points of criticism for these teams, not only their decisiveness and when they're trying to turn off of objectives, but in reviewing, okay, with this lane swap, did we really get all that we could get out of this, or should we have swapped a little bit later? Should we have played this a little bit differently when we know certain amount of information? I've been loving kind of going back and listening in on some of the reviews of these guys, so great job coming in from our blue team.
And you and I said it before, you want to have a nice game to close it out here. Now, it was kind of a stomp in this one. Again, some hope there for Team Hoarder in that second to last team fight where they were able to grab the ace. But yeah, I mean, players like Scary Jerry really good standout performance. I think Quacker had really good presence in the top side as well, had so much power over the Cassante, was able to buy so much time in these fights. So that is a really big game for them to boost their confidence a little bit heading into, because we're just starting this week off. There's still a good chunk of games to play. We're 2/3 of the way through the Combine, but still lots to go for both of these squads. And a win like that there at least is able to boost your confidence up a little bit. Say, okay, you know, I'm out of my own head. We're able to make plays happen. We're able to overcome our turmoils. And now let's see where this momentum can take us. But that is going to be the only block of games that we have today here at the Sido.gg Path2Pro Combine. And that is going to close out our stream with the conclusion of that game. So I want to thank every single person inside of the chat for watching this one. Thank you to Wookie on production, making things nice and beautiful behind the scenes. My name is Ferris. That was All Battery. Thank you so much for watching, and have yourselves a wonderful night. We'll catch you in the next day.
You've seen the walls come down, but here we are still standing.